Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 177. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Where's Connor?
Connor's in... I want to say Bulgaria.
Yeah, we care so little about Connor that we don't even know where he went.
I think it was Bulgaria.
Jeez. He goes to Hungary, he goes to Bulgaria, go to a normal place like Florida.
Was it Uzbekistan? I don't know. Like, it could have been anywhere. But he's off doing things at a sunny place. So me and Matt are here. Hold down the fort. It's a quiet week for books, because we talk about DC Comics, of course. Coming up on this week's show, we have Batman issue 81, Justice League 34, Aquaman 53, Jimmy Olsen number 4, Metal Men issue 1, and Tales from the Dark Multiverse issue 1, Batman Knightfall. That's at least how Comixology worded it. They put issue 1 at the end of Multiverse, but that would imply that the next one would be issue 2, like Death of Superman, which I don't think is true.
No. So they'll each be they're one shots, but they're
all issue 1s, yeah.
Dark Multiverse.
Although I will say, I mean, we'll get into it when we talk about it, but I will say that it does seem to be at least a slight connected tissue between the one shots, which we'll get into.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah. So that's the books coming up today. We got a few questions from people on the Twitters. And maybe even the emails, but I haven't checked the email. I'll have to do that as we're going. But we do have solicits, so we have a big solicits dump to talk about. And some pretty big news nestled in those solicits worth talking about. So it should be an interesting show, even with the ginger naysayer absent.
Yeah.
The negative force.
He couldn't miss a big bin this week, huh?
I know. Literally the week he misses, there's not a single Bendis book.
This guy.
Yes. He's going to try and be back next week, but he gets back from vacation like a day before the show. So, I mean, can he read all of next week's books? Or all of his books, at least?
There's a lot next week, too. So
yeah. So
probably not, but I'd like to see him try.
It would be funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would be funny. So that's the books that are coming up. How's your week been, Matt? We'll keep the small talk to a minimum since we've got a lot of solicits to talk about. But
Yeah. No, my brother went back home to Hawaii, so it's been a lot more quiet. But yeah, I went to a UNLV hockey game last night because apparently UNLV has a hockey team. First time I've ever seen 4 players in one penalty box, so that was fun. It was straight out of Mighty Ducks or Slapshot. So they played a good portion of the second period, very shorthanded, and still only gave up 1 goal. So that's good. But other than that, it's been mostly just recovering from my brother being here and being busy. So a whole lot of nothing. Yeah,
no. I've had a busy week. I don't know. Octoberthon's been taking it out of me. We've had Screams episodes going up every single day. In fact, we're actually going to have 2 episodes on Halloween. And I won't spoil why, but let's just say Tim... It wasn't quite a bet, but Tim made kind of like a promise if something would happen when we did our top 50 worst movies of all time. And because it happened, we have to do a second episode on Halloween. So, good fun. But that was his fault. So he gave himself more work. He gave me more work too, admittedly, but I mean, he complains about it more. So you know what? I'll take the win.
This guy.
So no, that's pretty much it. I was playing some. I subscribed to PS Now last night for 1 month just to try some different games.
What's that?
It's kind of like think Netflix for games on PlayStation.
Gotcha. So like Sega Channel back in the day.
Kind of. What a weird old school reference that was, Matt.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Sega Channel was dope.
That was so ahead of its time. Like they were trying something that just wasn't really feasible yet.
I still don't understand how it works. And if you told me it was magic, I'd believe you. So, yes. I know it involved having a hookup through the cable, but just the games on demand and the no lag, I still don't.
Yeah, weird.
Still not quite sure.
I tried. I mean, because the PS4 games you can actually download to your console. You don't have to stream them, so you can have them downloaded locally. So I played some Pillars of Eternity, and that seems fun so far. It's a big meaty RPG. Sort of top down, party members, all that kind of thing. I also played a little bit of Dangerous Golf, which is a game where you hit a golf ball inside a room full of expensive things and try and cause as much damage as possible. It's a little bit quicker than it should be, but there is some fun to be had because it operates kind of like the old. I don't know if you've ever played the old Burnout games, but you had crash mode in Burnout where after you hit enough things, after you'd sort of rammed your car into like a set of traffic, you'd get like a afterburn or burner. I don't know what it was called, but you hit a button, you'd explode, and then once you exploded, you could kind of like direct your corpse of a car around a little bit. You can do that in this game in the golf ball. Once you've exploded, you can kind of veer it around to get more damage and multipliers and stuff. I mean, I don't know how good it is yet. It's arguably not that good, but it was at least amusing me for an hour last night. So I'll give it some
Sounds like a good time.
All right, but to move on to comics, and for those of you who do care about wrestling, yes, there was like a good 20-minute wrestling talk there, which will be on Patreon like tomorrow or even today. We have Solicits. We have Solicits and a lot of things in the Solicits to talk about. So before we actually look at the Solicits, I'm just going to point out a format thing here that is worth mentioning. Is that this is something that's not new in terms of what they're doing. It's just what they're calling it now. There's a name for it. Is that new Prestige format that some of the Black Label books have got, the wider book? That is now going to be referred to in the Solicits as Prestige Plus. So.
Oh, okay.
So when you say that, that's what it means.
So the big oversized. So you're talking the Harleens, the By the way, I got my brother to read the first issue of Harleen. On his way home, and he really enjoyed it. He's gonna track down a comic shop in Maui. So if anybody's listening that has any experience about, Maui or anything, hit me up so I can point him in the right direction. Because now he wants to know how this ends, and it'd be a lot easier for him to pick it up than me to buy one and then ship it to him.
Of course. So we'll get into this. There's a lot of juicy things in here this month. This is obviously for the month of January 2020. So first up, Wonder Woman 750, and they're calling it 750. Do we know if it's keeping that numbering, or is it going back to the previous number?
I don't think we do. We're going to find out.
We'll find out in the February Solicits, I suppose.
Well, no, because isn't it a double? So if this comes out first, I'm gonna look for Wonder Woman. I'm jumping to Wonder Woman.
No, because Detective didn't have a double the month that came out either. The 1000.
It didn't?
No, they went single for that 1 month. And Action just switched to single anyway. So the reason why I'm comparing it to Action 1000, Detective 1000 is because DC are treating it like Action Detective 1000. They are treating 750 like it's its 1000th issue. It is a 96-page, much like Detective Comics 1000, $10 book with a host of creators. It has all the decade variants that those books had. So they're treating this like their Wonder Woman 1000, or I guess it would be Sensation Comics was her thing.
No, she first debuted in Wonder Woman, I believe. So
yeah, but she had like her equivalent. No, that obviously didn't last as long as Detective and Action.
It was her second title.
Yeah.
But it's Detective and Action were both precedents before Superman and Batman. She's the odd one where it's flipped. So yeah, I mean, I guess 750 is a pretty cool number. I mean, around 800 would make more sense to me, but that's a preference thing. I'll accept 750. Yeah, but it's 75. Like, it's a good. It plays into all of that stuff too.
3/4 of 1,000, I get it. So the creators they're listing here for the book, and because this has been treated like a 1,000 issue, me and Matt were talking about this before we started, is that we'll probably do a dedicated special episode, much like we did with Detective and Action 1000. It makes sense to do it for this. So we got Vita Ayala. Ayala, thank you. Vita Ayala, Margaret Bennett, Cami Garcia, Dean Hale, Shannon Hale. I assume they're going to be writing together, I imagine. Jeff Loveness, Steve Orlando, Greg Rucka, Gail Simone, and Mariko Tamaki listed in the writer's pool.
So any one of these, I'm not familiar with the Hales or Loveness. I am with Orlando. So let's remove those ones. But any number of these, I am okay with going forward on Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah,
right?
I mean, obviously Rucka is a sort of comeback as one of the greats, as is Gail Simone. Tamaki, I'd love to see on Wonder Woman. Ayala, I liked Vita's work on that was the Dead Man mini, right? That we did. That's the issue. I believe so. That was Vita Ayala. Yeah. And Margaret Bennett was hit and miss on Batwoman, admittedly. But
Cami Garcia, that's then she just do the
Joker Harley.
Joker,
yeah,
Harley.
Criminal
Also
Sanity.
the Raven book.
So no, some good names in there, and then with art, we've got less names announced so far, but we have Elena Casagrande, Colleen Doran, Jesus Marino, and Gabrielle Piccolo so far. So
my favorite Starfire ever is Piccolo's.
Hey.
That's the NASA, the NASA shirt one.
The main cover's by Joel Jones, the 1940s variants by Joshua Middleton, the 50s is Jenny Frison, 60s is J. Scott Campbell, 70s is Olivier Coppel, 80s is George Perez, that makes sense, 90s is Brian Bolland, 2000s is Adam Hughes, and 2010s is Jim Lee and Scott Williams. So I'm
going to have to see them, but as of right now, just in names, I'm leaning towards the Hughes and the Frisian.
Sure.
Because those are two that I know I can get behind. Although the Middleton one with the 40s, that's got some promise. As is the Perez, because that is an era. So actually, all of these sound really good. So they're really nailing it. I think they got the hang of it. Like, they saw it was successful with action, and then of course they were going to do it with detective.
And I think it's notable as well that I think the reason why they picked 750 for this is because it puts it. It's a little bit early on the year, but it means that there's one of these per year, because we had action in 2018, we had detective in 2019, and then we'll have this Wonder Woman in 2020. And it makes me think: do they does Flash 750 hit? If it's not already hit next year, do they use that as an excuse to do the Flash version of this? Do we get the 96 page? It wouldn't surprise me if they want to do one of these next year. So,
and then you can do Green Lantern after that, because it's another. I don't know how the numbering would work for that one where we're at. But
I don't know what legacy numbering we're on. Yeah. All right, and then so that's the big first thing. Second thing's kind of interesting. Birds of Prey issue 1 by Brian Azzarello with art by Emanuela Lupacchino and Ray McCarthy. What's interesting about this is that this has completely changed formats, because before this was going to be, it was going to be a main book ongoing series, and then it shifted to Black Label and got resolicited.
As the 1 and a 2.
As an ongoing as well, or at least maybe a maxi series or something like that, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it's actually changed again. It is now just a one shot. It is a 96-page, $10 one shot. Still a Black Label book.
Yeah.
So I put it about what, like a 4 or 5 issue book overall in terms of regular page count.
Yeah. Let's do that. What's the average page count?
20 is.
So 96 divided by. Yeah, almost five issues.
I don't know how much Black Label counts, because obviously regular 20-page books say 32 pages because of the ads. So I don't know if this 96 includes 10 ad pages or something like that.
No, because a prestige format means no ads.
Good point.
So, So I'm excited. I'm gonna read it. I'm probably gonna buy this because it is Azzarello and Lupacchino. That's a hell of a team. And I'm always there for whatever Lupacchino's doing.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it does make it a bitch to cover, but it is on a week 5,
It
so...
does. Yeah.
It's got more of a shot, actually, I think. And I think, obviously, I know you and Connor were definitely excited about this, so...
Yeah.
I'll probably try it. Even though it's a big book, it's on a week 5. Hopefully, if that week 5 is not too packed, we'll find out as we go. So, Birds of Prey issue 1 is on that week 5. Wonder Woman, for the record, was on the week 4 in January. So, alright, so then we have Batman, notably 86 and 87. Now, we were under the impression that we were switching to single shipping in January, because they'd kind of hinted at that in the past. But, that is not the case, at least not yet. So...
I'm just saying that's fine, double shipping. It's Tynion, so I already made the decision to stay on.
Sure.
Right. That said, I'm so happy that there's light at the end of this tunnel. Judging by what the Solicits say. So.
So you, David, I'll read the first one, because is this his first issue, 86?
Yeah, it's his first issue.
I'll read the Solicit then, since this is the start of his run. It's a new day in Gotham City, but not the same old Batman. With Bane vanquished and one of his longtime allies gone, Batman has to start picking up the pieces and stepping up his game. Batman has a new plan for Gotham City, but he's not the only one. Deathstroke has returned as well. under a mysterious new contract that could change everything. Beginning a whole new chapter in the life of the Dark Knight, the epic team of Tony S. Daniel and Danny Mickey are joined by the new writer James Tynion IV. I'm away with the next one because the next one has like some villains in it. I thought it was going to be more than that first one. So this 87 says, the Riddler has been laying low since his humiliating defeat as part of Bane's army. But as cautioned assassins start to make their way into Gotham City, Edward Nygma may have the answers he's been looking for, or at least the answer to why Deathstroke is trying to kill him. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. It's possible that Batman's tussle with Slade Wilson was all just a ruse to get the killer closer to his true target. I'm intrigued. Obviously, I'm going to give it a fair shot. No question about that.
Yeah. It's Tynion. He's adding to the Riddler's character, which I'm always a fan of.
Oh, that Mantina variant of the 86 with Deathstroke on the Batmobile. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In my veins. In my veins. So cool. Next up, we have Daphne Byrne, issue 1. Is this a Hill House book?
Yeah, this is a Hill House. This is the 19th century New York one.
Oh, that cover's quite nice, actually, the main one.
Yeah.
With the sort of the evil face behind the girl.
Mm-hmm.
So this is by Laura Marks, who's writing it. Kelly Jones is on art. In the gaslit splendor of the late 19th century New York, rage builds inside 14-year-old Daphne. The sudden death of her father has left her alone with her irresponsible, grief-stricken mother, who becomes easy prey for a group of occultists promising to contact her dead husband. While fighting to disentangle her mother from these charlatans, Daphne begins to sense strange, insidious presence in her own body, an entity with unspeakable appetites. What does brother want? And could she even stop him if she tried? Now, I don't know if this writer's any good, but I do like the sound of this on its face value.
So this writer worked on Ray Donovan. All right, you ready for this now?
The Expanse.
There you go. And then I read The Good Fight is the Good Place. I got excited. Then I was like, wait, that's not The Good Place.
No, Good Fight's a spin-off to the Good Wife. What is it?
Yeah. That's the All Access one.
Yeah.
The CBS.
So.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah, I saw The Expanse. I go, well, Pete's gonna be down now. I'm not a fan of Kelly Jones' art style, at least as it goes to Batman.
Sure.
That said, Gothic 19th century New York
might work. Yeah, might work.
Yeah, might be more my cup of tea. So, I mean, I'm going to try all of these. We already said we're going to try the Hill House books. So
I think it spices up our slate a little bit to have this different kind of genre in there.
It's almost like Hill House has become what Vertigo used to be.
Yeah,
with all the horror twinge.
Which we didn't typically cover, but I feel like because some of the mainline books aren't as exciting as they used to be, and we've dropped some of them. It makes sense to be like, let's try some of the other imprint stuff.
I always say that I kind of ride this line in between you and Connor with certain things. So I definitely feel like Hill House edges more towards your likes versus the Vertigo of the past with like Sandman and stuff, which is more Connor's. So
he's got Sandman universe ongoing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. But we tried those. We didn't like those as much. So I'm definitely excited for more of these than I was of Sandman. So
yeah. Next up, we have a Superman. It's essentially an annual. They're just not calling it that. It's called Superman Heroes Issue 1. This
is like the Leviathan Strikes one with that had the split between the creative teams.
Yeah. It's because it's Bendis, Fraction, Hauser, who's doing Supergirl now at this point, and Greg Rucka, who's doing, of course, Lois, and Fraction's doing Jimmy. So yeah, it's the same kind of thing. So this is tying into all the Superman line. It's on the 5th week, so that's why I say it's kind of like an annual in that sense. So it's a $6 48-page book. Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, the staff of the Daily Planet, even the Justice League, their lives are all changed when Superman's revealed his secret identity to the world. I'll just leave it there. That's the main thing. But Bendis was saying this week that this is not a fake out, that this is happening, that we're doing.
Yeah, and of course, comic Twitter explodes, and that's fine. I as a huge Superman fan, I appreciate all these opinions that people care about his secret identity this much. I think it's fine.
I like it. I think it's a natural. It's just like him eventually marrying Lois in the 90s. I think it's the natural evolution that eventually has to happen. Is him choosing to.
I said this when we started the show, and we had the Tomasi stuff set up in Hamilton County, that the truest Clark / Superman is the one that's at home on the farm.
Yeah.
And I feel like now we can have that all the time when he's not pretending to be a bumbling reporter. And he can actually just embrace his job, which is being Superman. You know,
Yeah.
Someone did point out, well, what does this mean now when when Metallo wants to attack Lois Lane in her at home? Sure, but that's why we tell these stories, right?
Yeah.
Is we look for that conflict to see how Superman's going to handle it.
I think they'll play with some of that stuff. I think they'll play with the idea. A lot of them were like, yeah, that's the obvious thing you could do, but he's always going to protect her. He's always going to be close by. So unless you want his attention,
which we've seen. So we've seen that in the Bendis run, as when, or even in Rocha and Lois Lane, where she tells him, you know, I'm a big girl, I can handle myself. I don't always need you here, you know. And it's good relationship stuff too. Do we know if Green Arrow knows who Superman is? Because that's the reaction I want the most.
I don't think he does. I don't think it is on the cover though. I actually, I'm not necessarily. I don't think the art quality is necessarily like my most favorite, but I do like what the cover is concept wise.
Yeah,
it's like this POV shot of the glasses coming off, looking down at all the other heroes.
And I made a life decision to wear these glasses based off of Superman. Now I'm screwed. Now just they're my J.J. Abrams glasses now. Oh God! This is the first time I clicked on the full thing and I see stupid flipping Drake there.
I know. But
I'm trying to be positive. I don't know anything yet. Take it in. Brown is not a good superhero color.
No.
It didn't work for Wolverine. It ain't gonna work for you, Tim.
Drake is like the one negative thing for me that Bendis has brought. Everything else has been great, but Drake.
But you got Naomi, you got Connor, you got Booster there. Like it's like, hey, can we put all of Matt's favorite characters there? So yeah.
I had to open the door for Wesker. He's been a menace.
I didn't realize. I was looking at the cover still.
I didn't realize it was gone. Superman Heroes #1, that is on week 5. So we'll have that in the Birds of Prey giant book. Then we have Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen, issue 2. This is James Tynion the 4th. This is issue 2 of 4, so this obviously started in December. I'm not going to lie though, I don't remember what it is, but I do actually somewhat remember looking at the art by Steve Epting and going, yeah, well, that's a buy.
Yeah, it's Tynion and Epting, and it's the basically Batman Who Laughs and his gang of the infected versus Apex Lex. Mm-hmm. So now it's like chaotic evil versus lawful evil, and what are we gonna do? And with Tynion, if this was anybody else, I'd be like, nah, I don't think I need it. But I think Tynion has entered into my favorite writers.
I like Tynion a lot. I think honestly, Epting is even more of a sell for me because him doing all these dark characters, like, and because I have to imagine it's going to be a dark as shit book. That Federici cover as well. It's like Gordon with the 2 nightsticks, but he's all like, you know, Joker-fied.
Jokerized.
Yeah. As much as I'm kind of sick.
We'll call that infected.
Infected, yeah. As much as I'm kind of sick of the Batman Who Laughs, I can't help but be like, ooh.
This makes sense though. I like that. You know. That we're getting this, and plus, Joker's still running around somewhere, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if this comes up at a certain point, which I'd always loved in Infinite Crisis. And spoilers for Infinite Crisis, guys, if you haven't read it, it's revealed that the Lex Luthor that we thought was running things from the beginning was Alexander Luthor from Earth 3, and that he cut out the Joker because he didn't like Joker's his chaos, that it would ruin the plan. And it set that off this wedge between Lex and then at the end you see the real Lex working with Joker to plan whatever's coming next, and it was this really nice tease. So I like that dynamic of Lex versus the Joker. Now this is not really Joker; it's a Bruce Wayne, right? Mm-hmm. That's been Joker-fied. So yeah.
Then we have the Giants, of course, that they always put in here. There's not much to say on. Action Comics 1019, I think for the second month in a row, has John Romita Jr. on art, so that's miserable.
I feel attacked.
Oh, that's on week 5. That's interesting. I guess they're spreading a couple of books out so that week 5 is not completely empty. Which is kind of good, but if they're giving us a 96-page Birds of Prey book, then maybe not. But so that's on week 5. Aquaman 56 is coming out, of course.
And this is a
guest writer, notably.
Yep, with Kyle Higgins, who I'm a big fan of. So I'm already enjoying Aquaman. You throw that in there.
I do like that it says guest writer because that tells us that we're getting DeConnick back.
Kelly Sue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that tells us that, okay, it's just a 1 month thing or whatever.
You know, it's funny when I was getting back into comics and Kelly Sue was this name that came up and people would get excited. I didn't get it, right? Because I wasn't reading a lot of what she was writing. Now that she's this name that I enjoy, I've enjoyed more of hers than I haven't. It's like, yeah, no, where's Kelly Sue?
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's great she's in DC stuff.
Now.
I do have to go back and read her Captain Marvel stuff at some point. And
I've read the first 2 trades and it's really solid because it's not like I read it in prep for the movie and it's nothing. I mean, it kind of pulled from the movie a little, but there's a lot more stuff to do with space and, you know, time travel and just my kind of stuff.
I feel like because I've heard that like everything after her kind of like was shit. Like, you know, like once she left, the book kind of went to crap. Although of course Kelly Thompson's writing it just now, who's very good. But I stopped after that Nuclear Man one, and I need to go back because I got bogged down and I forgot to pick it up. So from what I read, something big happened, so I spoiled myself. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's so yeah, I think I'll have to go back once I get caught up with some X-Men stuff. Good lord. Yeah, there's a question about that in the comments. Questions for you actually later. So yeah, Aquaman 56. We got Batgirl 43. Cecil Castellucci still on there. Cool. Batman Beyond 40. Still Dan Jurgens. That's 40 issues. One per month. He's been going a while on that book now. Good for him. Yeah. So what an epic run. He's going to end up having like a 50+ issue like Batman Beyond run. Maybe even more. I mean, it'll just keep going forever, maybe. Batman Curse of the White Knight, issue 6. Sean Murphy, of course. That's out in week 4. Like I say, that's issue 6. The Batman's Grave, issue 4. That's the Warren Ellis book that just started last week, so that's still ticking along. Batman The Outsiders, number 9. Again, ticking along. Same creative team, which is good to see. The exercise art's been great on that. Batman Superman, number 6, by Joshua Williamson and David Marquez. Again, same art. On there, same artist rather, what I mean to say. So that's nice to tick along. Batman vs Ra's al Ghul, number 5, the Neil Adams mini that none of us wanted to try, is still going. That's on week 5. Catwoman 19 is out on the second week. Still Joelle Jones, who's back on art for this one.
Yeah. That Joelle Jones cover is poster worthy.
Hell, even that I don't know, I like that other one, that Ian McDonald one.
No, that's good. My sensibilities, it looks super cool. I've
got to go with that Ian McDonald one out of the 2. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. I'm not saying that.
Oof.
You can definitely tell that Art Germs left his imprint because I'm seeing a lot more of these digitally based kind of covers.
They do look good though. There's a variant cover that are a great option.
It doesn't look like Art Germ except in the style. You can tell it's digitized, and that's fine.
Do you know what it has? It's got like an Art Germ style, but the coloring over the top of it makes it feel a bit more like a Fraser Irving kind of like, you know.
Kind of.
You can kind of see the dabbed painted kind of look. It looks kind of nice. I'm into it. Detective Comics 1019. Tomasi's still on there. Axe
wielding cult leader, you almost had me.
As well as Detective Comics Annual on week 5. Although worth mentioning,
that's not double shipping.
That's not double shipping. Yeah, it's got the annual, but there's no second issue. So
so I'm wondering if Batman's just double shipping till 100.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe
it was supposed to because of King.
Or maybe it's just because Batman sells so much that's the one book they'll keep double shipping.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not mad at that. I would have been 10 years ago, but not now.
Yeah. So Detective Annual number 3, obviously that's out in the 5th week. You got Flash Forward number 5. You got the Flash is double shipping.
So there goes that. But then again, though, that's the same guy that's still Williamson.
True, it's the same run, yeah. So maybe it'll go until 100 when he's done his run, and then it'll go. So yeah, it's called Rogue's Reign, or that's where the aftermath of Rogue's Reign, with the second issue at least. So that's cool. Freedom Fighters issue 12, so that comes to an end in January. That's cool.
Get caught up.
Yeah. Genlock issue 3. Is that one of the adaptations?
Those Rooster Teeth.
Yeah. Gotham City Monsters issue 5 is out. We got Green Lantern Black Stars issue 3. This is the third and final of the sort of interlude mini before season 2 of Morrison's Green Lantern hits. Then we have Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy number 5, the Hauser mini that started last month.
And it's got some cardstock Middleton variants that they have the sketches here.
Oh.
And oh boy.
That's in love. We got Hawkman number 20. O'Leaf's still on art, but he's joined by Tom Palmer on this issue. We got He-Man, the Masters of the Universe number 3. We do have Justice League 39, and that is single shipping that month, but it's also notable because it is the final issue by Snyder and by extension Tynion. So yeah, this was one of the big things that broke this week, is that this is the end of the run, and in February, assuming there's a Justice League issue in February, maybe they'll take a little bit of time off, but we'll be getting a new writer. So interesting.
I love the idea that Snyder's like, I'm gonna drop the DC universe into some evil chaos, and then he just cuts out. He's like, yeah, I'm done writing comics for now, guys. Like, this is the last we see of him.
Do you know?
That would crack me up.
It's funny because I think when he started, he said they had a 2-year plan, and this is not quite 2 years. It'd be 2 years if it went to June, I think. So
before we were recording, we were talking that he probably has something up his sleeve. So that'll be part 2 of this, kind of like he's done with, Metal gave way to this, gave way to that.
Yeah, you guessed JSA that he'd be going to JSA, which is not a terrible guess.
No.
So we'll see. Justice League Dark number 19 is out, as is Justice League Odyssey 17, which is still going somehow.
Good for Abnett. I'm glad Abnett can find it. I just want Starfire back, please.
And Jessica Cruz looks like Green Lantern again, at least, so they've fixed that nonsense. Just all I want from that book now is for them to put Jessica Cruz back where they took her from, so that when I get her again, I don't have to care about continuity.
You can leave Azrael and Cyborg there, but put Starfire and Jessica Cruz back. Shoot, have them team up. Harley and Ivy style, Cruz and Starfire, going through the galaxy, righting wrongs. I'm there for it.
Legion of Superheroes number 3 is out in January.
Look at
what?
That's what I hate sometimes about Solicits, is they give away story points.
Oh, who's this Robin here on the cover?
Yeah. It's who you think it is.
Oh. All right, so Damien's guesting for a issue at least.
At least issue,
Metal Men issue 4 is out, of course. We'll be talking about issue 1 of that today. Nightwing 68 is coming out. Still Dan Jurgens.
Still Rick Grayson. Remember when the Nicola Scott art came out? We're like, oh, what's going on with Dick Grayson?
I know.
Came out. It was just a cover she was doing for a thing they were doing, and she had one for, I think, Batman and Wonder Woman as well.
Better be fixed for Batman 100. That's my hope now. That's my hope. The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage, issue 2. This is the second of 4 Black Label oversized books. So in week 3, this one. This is Jeff Lemire's book, for the record, if you're forgetting what this is. Red Hood Outlaw issue 42. That's still tripping along.
We'll get to that soon enough.
Ruby issue 4, that's the other Rooster Teeth one. Shazam issue 10 has been solicited for January. Oh,
that's good.
Yeah. So that's cool, with Dale Eaglesham and Marco Santucci on the art. Although admittedly, the past issues have changed their art a lot, so I'm not going to get told that too thingy. But the fact that they're resoliciting this finally means that maybe they've got a bit of confidence that the next issues are coming out over the next few months. So cool. Suicide Squad issue 2, the Tom Taylor book, is out in January. That's on week 5, interestingly. So another week 5 book. Supergirl. There you go.
Wasn't say that cover for Suicide Squad 2 reminds me very much of the 60s kind of spy element to it. So that's pretty cool.
It is a cool cover.
But so Supergirl.
Yeah, Supergirl 38, Jodie Hauser, which I'm so excited Hauser on that book.
Yep.
So excited. And of course, you get that art gem style cover, which isn't perfect. Some of the proportions look a bit off to me, but cool look all the same. But yeah, we're getting some wacky stuff in this issue. But judging by that cover, we Wonder Woman and what the hell's that? Cyborg Supergirl? What's that?
Yeah, it's the infected Supergirl, which we still don't have a name to.
That's right.
But we'll see.
I got Superman 19. Not much to say. Yeah. It's out. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. It's number 7 is out in January. Teen Titans
Yeah.
38.
Uh-huh.
Terrifics 24. Still not a final issue.
Keep going.
Look at
It's the
that.
sole survivor.
It really is. And that's part 2 of an arc as well, so that's got at least a couple left in it.
Yeah.
That might even make it to 30 issues, Matt.
That's good.
I'll be
Good for them.
impressed.
Any work for, even if I'm not reading it, any work for Gene Luen Yang. Which I started Superman Smashes the Clan and ran out of time. I got about a third into it. It's really, really solid. So as long as they can keep him, just let him do stuff like that, we're good.
Absolutely. Then we got Titans Burning Rage issue 6. This is the last issue of the or actually no, it's the second last. There's 7 of these apparently.
Yeah.
Of the Walmart reprints. And then we have some of the youth stuff coming out, the graphic novels. Batman Overdrive by Shia Fontana. DC's Superhero Girls Powerless by Amy Wolfram. The Oracle Code by Marike Nijkamp. And then that takes us on to the Hill House stuff. I'll just quickly sort of list through these. Basket Full of Heads, issue 4 by Joe Hill. Dollhouse Family number 3 by Mike Carey.
All the Woods.
Oh, that cover is pretty cool. Holding a little toy bus up, it's on fire.
Basket Full of Heads is such my type of thing. and then I found out that Joe Hill is a huge Jaws fan. So much that there's this, not a conspiracy, but as much as a theory that if you look in the background, there's a missing woman that ended up, not showing up dead. And they end up finding her mutilated body on Martha's Vineyard. And so they say that the last time anybody ever saw her was on the set of Jaws. And so he did all of this research to pinpoint stuff to help on the case. And then you find out that Basket Full of Heads takes place on Brody Island. And I'm just like, Joe Hill, me and you probably talked Jaws for a while.
Yeah, I like that cover as well, actually.
Yeah.
Stand in the rain with the head. Yeah. I'm looking forward to these. Then The Lolo Woods by Carmen Maria Machado. And then that takes us on to your Sandman stuff. Books of Magic 16. House of Whisper 17. John Constantine Hellblazer 3. The Last God issue 4. Lucifer 16. There's actually like 5 of those books now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was that many. And then just rounding out, we got Doom Patrol Way of the Worlds issue 7. Far Sector 3. In fact, Far Sector 3, as much as it's kind of separate, it is a Green Lantern book, so I feel like...
Yeah. They've come out and we saw the first cover, and it's clearly a Green Lantern book, so...
Yeah, so that's Jamal Campbell art, N.K. Jemisin writing. I'm looking forward to trying that, actually, and seeing how it is, because I want a Green Lantern book, and Grant Morrison's got it under lock and key, the bastard.
Yes, he does.
Dial H for Hero number 11. Second last issue of that is out, as is Wonder Twins number 11.
A malfunctioning supercomputer that thinks it's 1986. I can't wait. It's gonna be like War Games, but now.
Then Young Justice number 12. And that wraps up all the regular books, and then you get your trades and hardcovers and whatnot. So, yeah, quite a meaty patch of Solicits. There's some interesting things happening. Some runs coming to an end. Big celebratory issues coming out. Pretty cool. And I'm happy to see that Batman Dark Knight Detective trade series continuing, which is basically just collecting big chunks of the main Detective Comics book. And then there's the other one, which I can't remember the name of, but it's doing the exact same thing for the main Batman book, and from the late 80s into the 90s kind of thing. So I am pleased by that. There's actually less issues in that one, but it's because the last one's 600, which I assume is probably at least a triple size book. So fair play. Fair play. Oh shit! And they're doing, those big trades they did for Walking Dead? It was like 8 trades in one big paperback.
They saw a compendium.
Yeah, they're doing that for Ex Machina apparently.
Yeah, that's the first one comes out. Where'd it go?
Oh, they're reprinting the Jeff Johns Flash omnibuses.
Yeah, and they're also getting Green Arrow Year One, which is one of my favorite stories of all time, is getting a deluxe, which I might have to get because I don't have that in trade. I have that in singles, and I do need a nice trade of it. So
that's cool. I mean, I don't buy trades and stuff anymore. I used to love collecting omnibuses though. I used to love doing that.
Yeah, the way that I'm at is if it's something that I know I'm gonna want just to pick up and read. Green Arrow Year One's one of those. So Lazarus I do that with too. I get the big thick
they're
deluxe editions, but
they're finally doing Superman by Byrne omnibus.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool, actually. Has Superman 1 to 11, the corresponding action, Adventures of Superman, and obviously the Man of Steel 1 to 6 mini. It's 1,100 pages, and it's only volume 1, so there's going to be 2 volumes of that, I assume. That's going to be huge.
Yep. The Action Comics run is like, 12 issues, 9 issues, and then an annual, and then Adventures of Superman's like 9 issues, and then another annual, and then 10 issues of Superman, or 11 issues of Superman, and an annual. This thing's like 4 trades by itself.
Yeah, it's half his run. It's literally half of his run, so they're going to do 2 volumes of this.
Yeah, which all of his run that I've read is Man of Steel 1 through 6, because I have that in trade. But yeah, this is something that, I mean, it's 125. It's a little much, but I think it'd look nice on the shelf.
Yeah, and then the 4th Wonder Woman by Perez trade is coming out, because I've done the omnibuses. There's 3 omnibuses of that, so this will finish the 2nd omnibus in trade form. So there'll be 2 more volumes of this to complete out the run in that format, which means more to me because the thick trades go on Comixology, whereas the omnibuses don't.
Yeah.
So
right.
I actually have all of Byrne's run in Comixology, or at least most of it. I think I've maybe got volume 9 still left to get, but I've got, or maybe 10, whatever it goes up to. But I've got most of them. Just from sales and whatnot. So there you go. That is the statue. So that's the Solicits. I said statue because the statue's at the end.
Yeah, I get you.
And they've done a Catwoman wedding dress statue, which feels a bit.
Looks good though.
It looks good, but it feels a bit weird. It's like, no one really remembers that favorably now. The whole wedding shambles. But hey ho, whatever. So before we got into the books, though, as a lighter week for books, so we did ask for a few questions on the Twitters, and we got a few in. We got one from Connor, which I'm going to ignore because it was pointless and stupid. I'm not entertaining it. But we did get a couple of interesting questions. One's really obvious. We kind of speculated a little bit earlier, but we can give it a bit more thought here. From Ben Kaiser Music. Who would you like to see take over Justice League after Snyder leaves in January? Let me press the button. Let's get it out of the way. Tom Taylor is obviously my number 1 choice for obvious reasons. He is doing Suicide Squad, so maybe it's less likely, but...
Yeah. Who would I want for Justice League? I'm trying to think. My go-to team guy is Tynion, but he's busy. Shoot.
And plus, Tynion's been kind of doing Justice League anyway.
I know, but that's why it made sense. Man, who else is there? I think Williamson. Williamson did do, he did the Justice League versus Suicide Squad crossover. That was the first big crossover of Rebirth.
It did, yeah.
And he's doing Batman, Superman, and Flash right now, so there's a little bit of room. Birthright's wrapping up. Who else? Tell you who I don't want. I don't want Orlando. I'm not a fan of his teamwork. I don't want that.
Honestly, I think I should go on a break. I think we should go 6 months without a Justice League book.
Yeah, that'd be fine by me.
I should go on a break and come back when it's got a reason to exist again. I feel like this desire to always have a book, even when there's not really a plan for one, just leads to stuff that feels like filler or stuff that feels like okay, so this writer has a small run, but like ultimately didn't really amount to much.
That's kind of how the Justice League book felt before Snyder. It was just filling in. And we got a couple of good things with Priest writing it right before Snyder took it over, but for the most part it was kind of a whiff. But if they wanted to do like one-off fun stories of teamwork and stuff, I wouldn't be mad at that either. Where up until it's ready, just like, this is the Justice League doing, league business. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, it's hard because I feel like it's hard to think of someone you want on a team book specifically. And we've had some of the big names beyond the book, or from the last few years. Like who are DC's golden children right now? Obviously, Johns has already done it. Now Snyder's done it. Tynion by proxy had kind of done it with Snyder anyway. So who does that leave us with in terms of big? Like, I mean, Tom King needs a new book. Does Tom King want to do Justice League?
I don't know.
No, I don't expect most people will want that because a lot of people seem to have really soured on his Batman run, and most people hated Heroes in Crisis, so maybe it's not something that's appealing to most people. But I mean, as a guess, it's not a bad one because
It's not.
he will
does
be
need
free
something
up.
to do.
Yeah, because you'll have obviously the last 12 issues of Batman Catwoman because that's coming. But
Yeah, and he has strange adventures going on with
that's true.
with Gerads. So, but yeah, I'm kind of at a loss for this now. I mean, of course, like the Dan Abnett's pop up, because of
Well, I guess that's a question. Do you
fill in?
What are the options? Someone who's one of the big people at DC, someone who's not a big person, so they're effectively saying, no, we're giving this to like a smaller writer. It's not going to be an important flagship book for a while.
Right.
Or do they shock us with like, hey, we got this writer from somewhere else. We've got someone who's not been here for a while or never been here before.
Pete, don't tease me with Jason Aaron writing Avengers and Justice League.
That's not where I was going with it, but yes, like someone like, I mean, I wouldn't expect him. He's kind of locked into Marvel for a while, I think.
He's very locked into Marvel.
And
apparently, Donny Cates has said that he knew he was taking over Thor for a very long time, which makes me feel a lot better about that book. Not that I wasn't already going to get Thor, but the fact that he made it sound like Aaron hand selected him to take over when he was done. So that's real cool. But I'm just trying to think who I'd want on a Justice League book. We've kind of been spoiled, the last couple of years with it.
Because obviously I go through other writers I love, but I don't necessarily see like someone like Rocha doing a Justice League book. I don't know if he'd want to do that, and
I don't think so either.
I don't think I'd really want him to do it either, because I feel like I'd prefer when he's like a more personal thing.
If they're gonna go the more one-offs, I wouldn't mind Mark Russell, because he's shown that he can adapt in that with his Wonder Twin stuff, and then these Year of the Villain one-shots. I've enjoyed each of his, so I wouldn't mind that, and he's still kind of on the come up. Who else?
Yeah, but you know what? We were praising Kelly Sue earlier. Give it to Kelly Sue.
Kelly Sue. Jodie Hauser, that used to be our go-to, but she's on Supergirl now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she could probably do Supergirl and Justice League at the same time. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what Kelly Sue's commitments are like. Maybe she doesn't want a second ongoing anyway. But I'm trying to think of more interesting names that like feel a bit more, like, okay, they're not the obvious picks to take.
Not the same old group that we always pull from. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, who else could it be? That shows you how not dialed into comics I am. I'm only a DC type person. And then the Marvel that I read, there's no way those guys are gonna, get out of Marvel to come do DC stuff. I mean, I say that now, but I don't know what they have going on. Let's look.
Oh yeah, if I could poach Marvel writers, I'd be like throwing in Ta-Nehisi Coates and Kelly Thompson and things.
Robinson or Rosenberg. I really liked his X-Men stuff that I read.
Oh sure, yeah, Rosenberg might not be bad.
That'd be good. Of course, Aaron. I said that as a joke, but I want Aaron to write any DC book.
I would start him in Justice League though. I feel like because he's just an adventures, I'd want him in something like give him his version of Thor. Give him.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't mind him on Batman. To see what a Jason Aaron Batman looks like, because he's done Punisher, he's done Wolverine, but what's someone that has to edge a little bit closer to that line? What's that story like?
Yeah, give him maybe Green Lantern's too similar to Thor in terms of the cosmic stuff, but you could give him Green Lantern, you could give him
Flash, Jason Aaron's Flash. Sign me up.
That is just like fantasy writing now.
Sign me up.
The point I'm making though is I don't necessarily want to see him straight on a Justice League. If he does come over to DC, I don't want to just see him on a Justice League book immediately.
Yeah.
And obviously we're not mentioning Bendis really, because Bendis has got so many goddamn books, and let him continue his Legion and his Superman stuff and Young Justice. He's got plenty. He's
got too much. I don't know how he does it. There is a bunch of Bendis bots,
Yeah, he's like Magnus. He's got Bendis duplicates.
Jeez. Yeah.
Also, for the same Twitterer person, with regards to the upcoming Superman storyline, if you could make one permanent continuity change to a DC character, what would it be?
This is easy.
What?
Rick Grayson never happened.
Rick Grayson never
happened. Well, Rick Grayson and Wally West. Boom, they're back. Hey, what are we doing?
Yeah,
I
okay,
don't know,
that's
chilling dudes.
the cheap pop. All right, that's the easy one.
Yeah, I know.
I
It's great to be here in Bloodhaven.
I but let's forget recent continuity. Let's just look at like
Yeah.
classic traditional continuity
Mhm.
and what we think of as these characters. What would we change? Because obviously Superman like revealing his identity and taking off the glasses is kind of like just
Yep.
that's a change to the entire history of Superman.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the obvious thing as well would be to say, hey, I'd still have Bruce Wayne be dead, and I would have Dick still be Batman. That's something I always bring up.
That's your always your go-to.
That's the go-to.
Um,
But let's not have a death. Let's actually change something about a character like Superman taking off the glasses.
I'd crib from Morrison and have Bruce semi-retired and running Batman Inc. That I really like that. I like that he had these agents around the world, and he was kind of the central hub in Gotham. And you had all of that's where Leviathan came from. Was that's his network was to put them down. So it kind of goes in yours that he's no longer Batman, but he's still active, and he's playing to his strengths as a leader that way.
Yeah. Again, I'm trying to get away from things that are just the end of the character. I mean, obviously that's not his death, but like the end of his tenure, because like that's the obvious thing to do is like just to see things advance forward. I'm trying to think something much like Superman, like revealing his identity, where it's like an advancement where he's still actively Superman, but it's like a next big phase in his career because it's a complete change to the status quo.
Yeah. All of the stuff that I normally would say are here. So like the Legion, right? Now they're a thing. Although I prefer the Clark Legion. That he was a teenager. They came back to help him not be lonely, and he goes and has adventures with them. And
oh no, I am team. He should not know anything about the future, or that he's going to be Superman.
Yeah. So I like that version. But now we have a Legion, so I can't pull from that. As much as I like Ollie, Connor Hawke was a pretty cool character. At least in the stories that I read. Again, that's dealing with a death. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, we keep going back to people just taking over and the characters.
Well, because they did. DC had this thing in the '90s where they're like, "Hey, we're all about legacy, and we're gonna have these new." So you had Knightfall, you had the death of Oliver Queen, you had, all these dramatic shifts. But yeah, man, what's a good continuity change? This is why I'm not Jeff Johns, because Jeff Johns would have like 4 right off the top of his head.
I feel like, because I feel like you could apply this secret identity, like choosing to reveal it. You could apply that to almost any character and see how it affects them differently.
Yeah. I would here we go. I would have the team of Batgirls. I'm gonna steal Pete's. Right? They're birds of prey, but they're all Batgirls. And Babs had to stop when, Killing Joke happened. She became Oracle, but she's still kind of, she doesn't have to be in the wheelchair anymore. But I liked when she was running the Gotham Clean company, So, and now she has, Steph and Cass as their kind of birds of prey, and they each have their own specialty. That's a continuity change I would do.
Actually, okay.
She never goes back to being Batgirl.
This one's kind of similar to Superman taking off his glasses, but it's not to everyone. I do kind of like the idea of Batman letting Gordon know who he is. I don't know why, but I think I like the idea of like their trust is breaking down, and to kind of bring it back, he has to reveal who he is. And also, I mean, not even just him. Like, find out who the whole Bat family is. Like, find out Barbara is Batgirl. Find out like all that stuff.
Well, and we kind of are getting that in White Knight, which is nice.
I'll tell you how I book it. Alfred. I mean, technically Alfred is technically dead in Batman right now, but I'm expecting it to be swerved. But Alfred actually dies, and Bruce needs to tell someone who he is because he doesn't have that father figure. He doesn't have that person he can talk to in the same way that he talked to Alfred. So he tells Gordon who he is to try and fill that void. And while that works or it doesn't, I think is open for discussion. But
you just turned this into Cody and Dustin. I need my brother.
Yes.
That's.
I need my father figure, damn it. I need my surrogate father figure.
Yeah, I was telling my brother about the Killing Joke movie and how bad it was from our perspective, because essentially Gordon and Bruce at this point are that's his best friend, which effectively makes Babs his niece, and it's icky.
In fact, going with this idea, here's why he does it. Here's why he tells Gordon who he is. It's not just about needing someone to talk to. It's about Alfred would call him on his shit, and he needs Gordon to know who he is so that he can call him when he's going too far to keep him tethered.
Perspective. Yeah.
This is beautiful. But then you add in the extra drama of finding out the Batgirl's Babs and the stuff that comes with that.
His tether to humanity. That's what Alfred's always been. Yeah. It keeps him from becoming the Bat Machine or the Bat God.
So you have Batman get angry, almost go too far, and realize that he needs to tell someone and have that in his life. So he chooses Gordon because naturally that's the person he would pick.
Yeah.
And you completely change the dynamic of their relationship and how they communicate, and the idea that Gordon would maybe come to the cave. He would see Babs there. He would interact with Dick.
And then his conflict as a cop, right? Like, how does that play in? And then you can play that side too, because now he has to keep it a secret. So he can't let it be known that he knows who Batman is. So when he's around Batman and the other people, he still has to keep going like it was.
And again, it's that sort of thing where it's a little neat thing, but you could reinforce the idea again that Bruce Wayne's the alias, Batman's who he really is, and Gordon just has to remember that. It's like, it's
Well, he's met the true version of Bruce. He's never met the fake Bruce Wayne.
Where did this line come from? I'm sure this was in something. I don't know if it was a movie or a comic, but at one point, Batman said to him, "You never cared who was beneath the mask before. Don't start now."
Right.
What was that? That was from something. Someone in the comments tell me. But like that sentiment, right? And I feel like I think there's at least a couple of good stories to come out of that, and then a new status quo that comes from it where Gordon's in this kind of new mixed role, especially if Gordon, because obviously there's a lot of he's kind of went back, but in pre-crisis or not pre-Flashpoint, we got to the point where Gordon had actually retired from being commissioner. So what if we get a retired Gordon who's no longer active commissioner? And I don't want to say he becomes a new Alpha. I'm not saying he's a butler or whatever, but he's there for aid. He's there as a friend.
Yeah, he's Watchtower, for lack of a better term. He's his, watching this and like, hey man, I can't sew you up, so you got to stop taking knives. He's
G1. Alfred's Penny one. G1. He's G1.
Yeah. But no, that's a good one. I do like that one. I'm trying to think of some others, but it's kind of hard because they are breaking status quo more and more and more.
Yeah.
So because the identity reveal, we've gotten that with Barry and Iris recently. So there's all of that. It doesn't seem to matter with anybody else. So yeah, it's Superman's the big one, and Bruce to Gordon is the other big one we still have intact. Outside of characters getting married, which outside of Superman, that's never really a good idea. So, but yeah,
yeah. So I mean, there's lots of things that they've done in the past that I wish they'd never reverted, they'd never retconned and whatever. Like that, I wish it stuck.
Cough, Jason Todd, cough.
But I'm not picking those because I think that's a boring answer. Because I want Dick to still be Batman. I want certain characters to still be dead. I want certain legacy characters to still be in the roles. But we've said that a bunch of times before, so I didn't want to. I tried to come up with something that was a bit more rich for the character themselves.
Is it continuity to make that Lebdell never writes Red Hood?
No, but
because if that's the case, we get the cool Judd Winnick. He's essentially DC's Punisher, right? Like he's the one hero that they all have issues with because he's the one that takes the permanent answer. I like that version. That's the one version of Jason Todd I like, and we've gotten so away from that because he has to be cool.
I was told this week actually, because obviously we're not reading Flash Forward because it's Lebdell.
I was told to look too, so I did.
There's some characters appeared at the end. I won't spoil it, but
no, I won't spoil it either. But it made me excited, and then I remember it's Lebdell and Booth, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it.
I wonder if Wally and his family will end up with the Superman treatment, where they're kind of around from pre Flashpoint, even though they don't really fit here anymore, but they're still going to exist just because.
Yeah.
That's what they want. Even though we're going to still have to deal with the fact that he kind of went nuts and killed everyone by accident.
I feel that's the point of Flash Forward. It's going to erase a lot of Heroes in Crisis. It does look like a lot of it sticking. Especially if Leviathan turns out not to be Roy. He's the only casualty of it. Like,
Fix it, DC. We'll never speak of it
fix
again.
now.
We'll just ignore that it happened. Just fix it. All right.
It's the lost crisis.
Next question. From Talking Superman, regular to the show. Since you guys have been doing panel of the week, what's a single panel that has stuck with you as a favorite single panel of all time?
The Return of Wally West in the Lightning Saga. I remember where I was when I read that.
Hell, what about even Rebirth? You know, it's back at the start of the show. Like,
that's a good one too.
You know, those hands connecting and him pulling them out.
Well, yeah, for me it was, I had just read, I think the month before, they had made Bart the Flash, right? And it was this mini series or max series called Fastest Man Alive, and he dies at the end of it. And it's like, well, now we have no Flash. And then in Lightning Saga, the next month, they reveal that the Legion has come, to the past on a secret mission to restore Wally West because they need a Flash. And I remember turning that page and seeing the lightning strike, and there he is. It was very exciting. That one will always stick with me. Identity Crisis, when Tim sees that Captain Boomerang's killed his dad, and there's this shadowed, the art of Bruce holding him and telling him not to look. That's a big one. Goosebumps right now.
One of mine, from one of the earliest things I ever read, Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison. There's a reveal towards the end of that book when Batman's in the asylum. Basically, the villains leave it to Two-Face to toss his coin to whether or not either kill Batman or whatever. And there's a reveal after the fact that the coin landed on the scratched head. It landed on the bad side, and Two-Face lied to save him. And it was just this moment of feeling like, whoa, there's hope for Harvey Dent.
I gotta read this book.
There's hope for him, and I always remember that moment just hitting hard as a kind of thing. This is a cop out, but like every panel in Justice by Alex Ross, like every single panel.
Yeah. And some non-DC. There's some stuff in Thor when he finds out he's not worthy anymore, and just that and his that will always stick with me. And then we get this, the next part. Trying to think what else. Nothing too much else from there.
It's hard. It's hard to think of panels of all time, but
those two ones that I led with. Those ones are. I remember reading Watchmen the first time, and when Ozymandias says that, oh no, it happened, 14 minutes ago or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a gut punch. That one, and you realize.
Yeah, that one sticks, and I love when movies do that now because it feels like the timing is perfect.
Because that's the end of issue 11, if I remember right. The start of issue 12, the first few pages are just because that book was like the 9-panel grid almost all the time.
Yeah.
The first few pages of issue 12, if I remember correctly, are full page spreads of just New York and tatters and like people are dead in the streets and it's just
it's almost like it's a pan. And you see all the carnage from this space squid. Can't believe it taken me this long to get to this one, but the death of Connor Kent in Infinite Crisis, that messed me up. It was the first time I cried reading a comic because it was handled so well. Because it was either him or Dick Grayson, and those are two of my guys. And when it's revealed to be him and the Crypto's response, it's like, oh man, that stuck with me. I'm trying to think some other ones. I'm sure there's stuff from the first appearance of Batwoman in 52.
Oh, sure.
That was pretty cool. They led up to that real well. That was in 52, number 5 or 6, maybe 7. I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah. No. There's probably stuff if I'm thinking, because I think when it comes to stuff that's non-superhero stuff, we're looking at like Image stuff like Saga or Lazarus, whatever. Those things are full of like big moments because they're so well written.
Yeah. Southern Bastards, another Aaron book. The end of that first issue, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. The end of that first issue dropped my jaw, and then there's I think it's the end of issue 6. There's a callback to that with a reveal that both of those stick with me. There's more Southern Bastards.
I mean, if we're giving out points for something sticking with you, because obviously, like, panels fade in time. I remember how I felt about reading the whole book. I don't necessarily remember every single panel. But if we're talking about panels sticking with you, just for the sake of sticking in your mind, if that's worth something, then, you kind of have to give it to The Walking Dead, the end of Volume 8 of The Walking Dead. I don't know what issue that works out as. But it's the end of the 8th volume, the end of the prison stuff. There's a panel, the most shocking panel in that book up until that point, that even in a comic was like, whoa, I can't believe they just did that. That is dark as shit. People have read The Walking Dead, don't know what I'm talking about. I've read up to...
Tell me how to break. Tell me how to break.
I've read up to issue, I think, 104, The Walking Dead, the end of that arc, just after issue 100. And now that it's finished, maybe I'll go back and read the rest, because I did really enjoy reading it. Like, I got a little bit stale with it around that time, but those first 80 issues, whatever it was, were really good. It was a really addictive read. I remember getting the hardcovers and reading them in one sitting, and I don't usually read 12-issue books in one sitting. Usually it takes me a few. So they were very readable. Robert Kirkman knows how to write characters, but
Yeah. Let me know how to break, because I got to know what this is.
You got to know what it is.
I got to know.
So, yeah. All right, so we'll just... one last... This is a quickie, it's an on-DC thing. I know it isn't DC. This is from @Clark_Doom. I know it isn't DC, but I'm curious if any of you guys have read Hoxpox, and it took me a minute to realize what you meant there.
House of X, Powers of X.
Yeah, I was like, Hoxpox? What the hell is Hoxpox? And I was like, it's X-Men, the X-Men stuff. And if you have any general opinions now that it's over, because it feels like it's the doomsday clock of Marvel, and it's a shame I'm missing out on your commentary. So I'm not touching it with a 10-foot barge pole because Jonathan Hickman, but Matt's read some of it, so he can give you some thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm up to House of X 6. I still got to read Powers of X and X-Men #1. That said, I don't know what to believe, because it is Hickman, and he can be like, oh, this is a sideways reality they've been living in this whole time, and here's all the proof. You just missed it. So I don't quite agree that it's the Doomsday Clock. That said, you've read more than I have, Clark, so you might know more than I do, but yeah, it doesn't feel like it congeals with the rest of the Marvel universe right now. That said, I'm only reading Avengers and Immortal Hulk and Thor, and now Hoxpox. So I mean, if that's how it feels, I mean, I guess that Doomsday Clock kind of feels set out from the rest of it. So maybe that's Hickman's design here, but yeah, I'll let everybody know as soon as I'm done. I got bogged down with other books. It's been a tough week. My brother was here, so there was less reading than I have. I got exactly one issue into Checkmate, so which I enjoy. Anytime I needed extra time, it was, hey, DC books need to be read.
Valiant effort, Matt. Valiant effort. One issue. More than I did.
Yeah, one issue out of 12.
Yeah, I'm behind on all the Marvel books I like. I'll get in the mood at some point and start reading them.
Yeah. That said, I am enjoying it, and I have not enjoyed X-Men since Bendis. That said, I didn't read a lot of X-Men since Bendis. But it is different enough, and it does feel like it's a sideways universe. A lot of heavy science in there. Like, Hickman takes the science fiction name to heart. So
I would like to read X-Men. I want to love X-Men, but I just don't like Hickman. Yeah. So, all right. So we'll talk about books. We'll start with Batman issue 81. Tom King writing with John Romita Jr. and Mitch Gerads on the art. Although Mitch Gerads is only in the last 2 pages.
That's a lie.
I know.
That's a lie. So I open this and it's the first thing I read on Wednesday morning. Wake up, downloaded it. I'm going to buy it in physical anyways, right? This is my life now. And, man, I'm like, where's the Gerads art? I'm reading this because I need to see the Gerads art. All this Romita Jr. art. I need Gerads.
God.
And then it doesn't show up till the last 2. I've never felt more cheated in my life.
Do you know, Romita's Bane mask looks like it's like a mummy mask. It looks like, it's like wrapped around his head and strips.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Yeah. I don't hate Bane. I know a lot of Batman fans, comic fans aren't big on Bane and whatnot. I like Bane. And I feel when we get to one of the other books in the Knightfall, We get a lot of good Bane.
Boom.
I'm not a fan of this Bane. Just, I know it's called City of Bane, but we've yet to. I don't feel Bane's presence. I feel everybody else's presence, and that's not Romita's fault, right? I'm not gonna. That's not on the art.
No.
But yeah, I was looking forward to the Gerads art. I want to see Gerads Bane. I thought they were gonna do something interesting, and
the book,
all the goodwill. This book feels like it's one on, one off. All the goodwill that gets built then is immediately spent.
I mean, I actually kind of like this issue, to be honest. I mean, the art's terrible. The art is absolute garbage, but I like what the story's doing. We start off with Wolverine. I mean, Flashpoint Batman, who's going to kill Damian, but he's like, no, I can't. He's family. And then Damian's like, I've already gotten out and put myself back up and let everyone in. He's like, yeah, these are my family. And you got Batwoman, Cass, Duke, Huntress, Batgirl, Tim, all come in. Wouldn't it be so cool if Nightwing was on this page with them?
It would be, and I almost feel like that's who Tim was supposed to be. And then they're like, oh no, we can't. Give him a staff and a cape.
Yep. So, but no, I like this. I like the fact that the Bat family assemble to take on Thomas Wayne. And they're actually kind of winning for a while, although Thomas Wayne does seem to get the better of them by the end of the issue. I like this part of the book. Obviously, it cuts back and forth with the other stuff with Batman and Catwoman, but I was into that because it was, it was fun. I felt the violence and like them being like, no, we want to, and I love the part where they say, hey, we were voting as to whether or not we'd actually fight you physically, and it was tied, and it was down to Cass to break the tie, and she just looked down and said Alfred, and I'm like, oh, my heart. Even through this horrible art, I felt something there. I felt a tinge.
Yeah, the words.
Even though I don't believe that Alfred's dead, I felt the pain.
Depending on the solicits, I feel like he is, and I feel like it's not going to be handled well.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's almost that weird thing where it hurt that they didn't actually sell it stronger than they did because I don't believe that he's dead. So Catwoman and Batman are fighting Grundy and whoever that other big dude. I always forget the other guy's name.
Yeah, me too.
They're fighting them. I do like the whole idea that Batman's like, all of Bane's plans assume that I'm going to be on my own because I always come alone. I'm the sole Batman. Blah blah blah. But the idea of him working so closely with Catwoman is kind of what's going to ultimately save the day and like foil the plan.
I will say the most I like the art is that fight sequence right when he hits that double stomp.
Sure.
That looked pretty cool. But that's because Batman's not really in a lot of those pages. So
that's fair. That's fair. Romita's faces are the worst. Yeah, the absolute worst. I mean, the physiques aren't good either, but the faces are especially bad. So yeah, they're going for Bane and whatever. And so here's the thing. So we got to this reveal where we find out that I mean, it tries to justify in retrospect. I don't think this was answering criticism. I feel like this was just something that was always intended that, we didn't get yet. Because we were questioning, okay, why was there 2 issues on a beach with them training? Why didn't he go straight back to Gotham? In hindsight, it's kind of saying, no. There was this deal they had to stop, and he was training for 2 weeks because time was important. But he didn't leave.
Super Venom.
Yeah. And he didn't leave.
The key.
He didn't leave Gotham protected. There's someone on the inside who is helping, and it started teasing that it was whoever the Joker was. That this is not the real Joker. And so I want to give this reveal props for 2 reasons. One, I started to think it was Dick. That Dick had been secretly Dick the whole time, and this was kind of the big bluff because it kind of calls back to the first issue of Snyder's run where Dick was pretending to be Joker in Arkham, right? And I got excited for a minute. So I want to give credit for that excitement, but I want to give credit also because that's not the answer. It's not Dick.
No.
But the answer actually made me smile, and I went, you know what? I like this as well. It's not maybe as amazing as Dick, but it turned out to be Clayface because we've not really seen Clayface since his apparent death in Detective Comics,
right.
And the idea that Batman does trust Clayface and that he has been working for Batman in this scenario, I actually really like. So.
Yeah, I like that too, but I just wish that, 1 minute. No one else is here to hush the dog, so
there you go.
Door's gotta close. Yeah, I like not knowing where Clayface was. and the fact that he comes back here, I don't know. Also, I didn't like that now my, Alfred was Clayface. Theory's out the window because Joker was Clayface.
Sure.
We can't do that twice. So,
but it
was a nice surprise, though. I agree with you, but I did think it was Dick, and I got very excited because King's the one that took Dick off the table. With the
this would have been a great moment to put him back in and say, no, Dick's been Dick for a while again, and he's been playing.
He had to play his part, and this dude was part of a spy organization, so he knows how to do it, right?
Yeah, but I do like the reveal that it's Clayface. It's a nice, it kind of nicely ties in what Tynion did in Detective into this run as well, and makes that feel somewhat important. So I was into that, and we have the others. Oh my god, see that full page spread of Batman and Catwoman running side by side. It looks terrible. It is such garbage.
He's Wolverine, down to the batarangs making claws.
I know. And Bane looks terrible, and oh my god.
I do like how he takes up the full frame. That's a nice touch.
Sure. It's like he's busting out of the page. There's not enough page to contain him. That's a nice idea. And then Flashpoint Batman, has apparently won the physical fight. He comes up to the room,
covered in blood,
and he's forgetting that I'm Batman. Basically, that's what he says at the end. He is forgetting that he is my boy and I'm Batman. This was clever, but it didn't work.
I don't like Flashpoint Batman. I'm gonna go and say it. He was fine in Flashpoint. He has no purpose here. I'm not liking this convention. So you'll appreciate this, but when he came up out of in the mansion and yelled Wesker, I'm like, why is this Resident Evil all of a sudden?
I'll be honest. I thought to myself, why is it talking about my cat? What's going on?
Yeah, right. So I also don't like that he apparently stabbed. He had apparently stabbed Tim with a arrow. Like the dude can't catch a break. So
I was almost expecting another reveal here at the end where this Wesker pulled off like a rubber mask and it was Alfred or something like that.
I did too, man. We're lining up too much.
I was still expecting it. I quite like this. I mean, I hate the art. The art is garbage, but I like the plot of this issue.
Decisions that I just they're kind of maddening. So
I'm into the story of this issue. I was into the story of last issue. I've really enjoyed these two issues, despite the fact that the art is absolute garbage. There is 2 more pages though. Bullock is going a bit nuts, and he sees the Doom logo in the sky. This is just a pointless tie-in to what's going on in Justice League this week. That's all it is. A few of the issues had it last week as well. How cruel is it to tease us with this much better art at the end?
I know. That's what I got mad at. I thought when I heard Gerads was doing a couple pages, I was like, "Oh, cool! They'll sprinkle it in for a big reveal." Right?
Couldn't it have been like all the pages with the Bat family fighting Thomas? Like those could have been Gerads, no?
Yeah, that's so. Oof.
Yep, pricks.
But also them give like the whole Doom sign. I was like, I wonder what this is officially. And then
I don't know.
We get to know.
It's weird as well because this times all these things like to be right before what's happening in Justice League right now, and it feels like so they all stop doing what they're doing in their own books to go and do the Justice League stuff. I don't know, it's weird. But that was Batman. What you giving it?
I'm gonna give this one a 7.
I am also going to give it a 7, which is weird because you were a bit more negative than I was. But let it be known, I really like the story in this issue. I actually think the storytelling is back more or less on form with these last 2 issues. But the art is obviously dragging it down to that 7 because otherwise this would be a solid 8.5 or something like that. I'm liking the story in these last couple. The art is horrendous, and John Romita Jr., if he could never draw a comic that I'm going to read again, that'd be lovely. But of course, Action Comics is coming in a couple of months, so I guess I'm stuck with him.
It makes me so mad.
It's weird. He's got all this cred. Like he's treated as this big artist in the comics industry, and I don't get it. It's terrible. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on to Justice League 34. Scott Snyder and James Tynion IV, writing with Bruno Redondo on the art. And again, kind of more of the same here, continuing everything. It does kind of converge a little bit because by the end of the issue, the future and past teams kind of converge in present day, bringing some allies with them, bringing the Justice Society, bringing some of the future characters.
Yeah, they even talked Vandal into stepping aside and letting him, because, hey man, this is the causes the death of you. So if we stop it now, then I'm like, oh, are they time traveling this? Is this the key that they're going to undo some things? And I still feel like that can happen, but
I tell you, I like some of the banter at the start between Cheetah and Grodd, where Cheetah's just like, oh, relishing and like controlling Poseidon to destroy Atlantis, and Grodd's like, go on, Minerva, you can beat your chest, I won't tell. Like, I love the idea of her like doing like a gorilla chest beat, which is just because she's really in the mood. But yeah, so you got some stuff with like, John gives a speech to Vandal, and like Alan behind him's like, you know what, I'm kind of proud of what Green Lantern name's become, kind of thing. Brainiac 1,000,000's fighting the Justice League, and of course Commandy comes in with all the future heroes from all the different possibilities.
The multiversal. Yeah, we got Booster, we got Kingdom Come versions of
Green Lantern and
of Superman and Green Lantern, and we got the Wizard Shazam, which is Billy, just older. I forget where that's from.
Yeah, but Batman Beyond. There's a Superboy of some kind there.
You got Superman Red Sun.
Who's this? Who's this cyborg Aquaman?
I don't know. Oh, you know what? That's Flashpoint. I think that's the Flashpoint.
Oh, was it
Aquaman? I think so. Let me look this up.
I don't remember him being cybernetic, but I mean,
maybe he was, and I'm not remembering it.
I don't. That said, though, I don't think I read the minis about the actual.
He wasn't. He had a slash. He had a flash across his face. He wasn't a cyborg. I just remembered before I typed it in. Yeah, who is he? That's a good question.
Yeah, cyborg and Aquaman mixed together. It's weird. So, and then you've got the Ultra Monitor, who's the combination of the three monitors fighting Apex, Lex, and Perpetua. And ultimately, Hawkgirl kind of comes off a bit of a fool in this issue, because her own anger kind of leads them to lose, because everything's kind of shaping up. The teams are converging; they're going to be there on time, and then because she's refusing to like sort of stand back and get ready for the big arrival, we get a kill. We get Lex stops her from meeting Starman to get welcome the others there.
Well, so she doesn't. Yeah, she's not
killed.
They need her nth metal, right? For the Ultra Monitor.
Yeah, her wings. It's her fancy wings she's got now.
And no, and he ends up getting her out of position so it doesn't happen.
Well, it's because she's insisting on fighting Lex, even though it's time to go, and because she stays and gets a couple of extra hits in, Lex stabs her on the shoulder and she can't make it, and that's kind of the losing thing. So I really feel like her anger got the better of her here, and it kind of cost the team the win, to me, which fits because she's an angry character, so it makes sense for her. Like, it's not like I'm not saying this is a bad thing.
Well, and I get all that, but still, it made me so mad at her, which I think is the point.
Yeah.
I was like, Kendra, damn it. So the Cyborg Aquaman, I'm finding out, this is from from Justice League and Rebirth. It was the Hitch stuff.
Oh, okay.
Remember with the kids that came back? Yeah. Grizzled Aquaman.
Well, so Aquaman and Cyborg had a kid together? Is that what you said?
No, he something happened and he was the only remaining Justice Leaguer because of these, cybernetic enhancements.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Perpetua has unlocked the final thing, and she's at full power now. I actually, what's funny is it was building up to maybe winning. I actually wasn't sure how far we were from the end of the arc. I was like, is this the last issue? Are they about to win? And I'm like, oh no, it's not. This is where we get the darkest before the dawn, where Perpetua is actually at full strength. Yep. So, there we go.
And not just that, but so she ends up talking the Anti-Monitor, right? That she tells him, stop the games, take control that you wanted. So he fully takes control of the Ultra Monitor and becomes good old crusty teeth Anti-Monitor that we know from Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I thought that was a hell of a thing. So I like that there's his two versions, right? Like there's the Anti-Monitor that's kind of this crusty looking dude. So that's the complete opposite of the Monitor. and now there's this dude who's an Ultra Monitor, Anti-Monitor, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Since you mentioned Crisis, I just want to briefly mention it because you've not watched any of the CW shows this week. I'm sure you haven't.
I watched the first episode of Supergirl, and that's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing that might actually tempt you to watch Arrow just this season is Arrow's actually been, at least it's episode 1, it's set on Earth 2. It does this thing where Oliver from the main show shows up in Earth 2 where Oliver never came back. So it's kind of like a new version of the pilot again, where he shows up after being missing, but it's been like 10 years because he never came back, 5, 6 years ago. And there's a sort of story that's told as he's there about, he's finding this like dwarf star shit for the Monitor, because the Monitors put him in this Earth.
Right.
It ends with like, the antimatter wave destroying the Earth. So it looks like Arrow this season is being used to like show us other Earths being destroyed in the build up to Crisis, which
makes him like
neat.
Which makes him like the Harbinger, right?
Yeah.
Like he's our point of view of the Earths that are getting destroyed, which was a big part of the lead up to Infinite Crisis.
Yeah. And Flash, to be fair, is also building to Crisis, because the end of the first episode had the Monitor show up, and episode 2 this week was mainly, it wasn't a great episode, but it was about Barry kind of trying to like see the future and see if he could like somehow survive, but he sees himself disintegrate as he's running at the Speed Force.
I don't know if I can watch that, Pete. In person? Oh, that's gonna wreck me.
Jay's in the episode though, so I mean,
yeah, that's good.
Maybe that.
I will say, as far as Supergirl goes, I like her new outfit with the pants. I'm glad that we've got there. I don't like that it's based on nanotechnology, however.
Yeah, I hate the nanotech. You know what? It's never going to look as cool as ripping the shirt open to reveal the S. It never will. And I hate
never.
I hate how I hate how the cape is attached at the shoulders. I hate the extra lines on the thing. I don't mind the pants. You want pants? Fine, give her pants. But
I like, because I feel that at this point, Kara's a teenage Supergirl can wear the skirt, whatever. That's a teenager-y thing to do. But as she gets into her profession as a super, pants, you gotta wear pants. Tell you this from a guy that always wears shorts,
Yeah. None of the shows have really been firing on all cylinders. Oddly, Arrow's probably the best episode this week, which is weird.
That's
not great, but
I guess.
I like how it's built into Crisis.
So that means Connor's liver's gonna survive then.
Oh, he was still drinking apparently.
Well, he has a problem. We know this.
Yes, he does have a problem. So I just wanted to make, because you mentioned Crisis. I wanted to mention that they're actually building to it.
But yeah, so that moment felt big, despite it being in a small panel. And he says "Hail Perpetua," and all things seem lost. And based on the solicits today, which I hate to do, it definitely feels like Doom has won, at least until Batman Who Laughs shows up.
So does Chaos beat Doom? Is that what we learn?
I guess, because Doom is all about order.
True.
Right? So it is, which is fun, because I know we already had our wrestling discussion, but I like, in this era where there's not really heels and faces, right? Everyone's kind of amorphous. I like to do the RPG alignments on certain wrestlers, and that fits so much better. So feel definitely like...
It's funny, actually, you bring this up, because just this past week, Talking Superman on Twitter was...
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was someone else started, but he responded to it, and I responded to, because we're talking about Sinestro, and how Sinestro, someone said, is he an anti-hero? And Talking Superman said, well, not really, because he's not he's not inherently heroic, but he does have this order about him where he will be on the side of good if it and I was saying that Zod's kind of like that now as well with his own planet. Like he has a bit of order, and I was kind of thinking that he's more of a lawful evil, or maybe a lawful neutral at a push, but not good.
Like right now he's shifted Zod from lawful evil to lawful neutral. He's not really bad. He just wants what's best for Krypton.
Sure, yeah.
Whereas Sinestro rides that line between neutral and evil,
whereas Joker is just
lawful,
chaotic evil.
Yeah. Sometimes neutral evil, where he's not, depending on who's writing him. He's just about the doing things, or chaotic neutral, I should say.
Yeah. He's definitely always chaotic.
Chaotic. I mean, yeah. He's always chaos. So, but no. So that shifts to here. Batman Who Laughs is definitely chaotic evil.
Oh,
yes, he has plans and stuff, but so that would put Lex at lawful evil, and that's always a fun. It's always like chaotic good and lawful good always butt heads, you know. So yeah, I like to. It's another one of my compartmentalizations.
Yeah, it's weird because like Harley Quinn's kind of become chaotic good because everyone wants to rate her as an anti-hero now. So she's like
same with Ivy, right? She's more of a neutral in there somewhere. She's not so much about chaos. She's more like lawful neutral kind of. Because I always like to subscribe that lawful doesn't necessarily mean, you know, you rules and whatnot. It's you have a personal philosophy, you know.
Who's a true neutral? Is that like the Monitor? Like he's true neutral, just in the middle.
He's supposed to be true neutrals. I always remember someone make a joke that like when you're playing an RPG, the only true neutrals are non-playable animals.
Sure.
Right, because they have no impact in anything. They're true neutral. But yeah, so you look here, and I definitely see that at play, and I don't know if Snyder's doing that intentionally. I definitely would say that Tynion is definitely more that type, that he would get into that type of stuff. But no, it's fun to do. Like, where's Barbara? Is she a lawful good? Is she a lawful neutral? You know?
Definitely good. I'd say, yeah, probably a lawful good, or neutral good, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I'd say Superman's not lawful good. I'd say he's neutral good.
Right. Well, but Superman has this creed he follows that Pa Kent taught him, right?
Yeah, he's got a moral code, but he's not like. See, Batman, I'd say is lawful good. I'd say Superman is neutral good.
Because he's stringent, yeah. Well, when you're comparing the two, definitely, that's what makes them clash.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, I'd say Flash is neutral good. Green Lantern, that can vary. I mean, if we're talking about Hal,
he's lawful neutral sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You know, if you look at the Robins, I'd say Dick's not lawful good. Dick's neutral good.
No. Yeah. Damien's chaotic.
Damien's chaotic good for sure. Yeah. As
because he's. Yeah.
I guess
he's himself.
Red Hood's more chaotic neutral or lawful neutral maybe. He's
lawful
actually
neutral because
depends
he
who's
has his own creed.
Yeah, it depends who's writing him, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah. I'd put him more at lawful neutral.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Tim is definitely lawful good.
Yeah, and if anyone listening to this has never seen like the D&D like 9-panel grid of these alignments, you're probably confused.
it's super fun to do this with wrestling too, because like Johnny Gargano, my favorite wrestler right now, even when he started working as a bad guy, he was still kind of lawful neutral, whereas everybody else, like, he's remaining the same. Everybody else turned on him.
Sure,
you know, which wasn't the case. He was a little bit diluted. So it was fun to watch that shift. And then, you know, but no, it's fun to do with wrestling. It's fun to do with comic characters or like TV show characters like The Office,
sure,
or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, to figure out where they fit in. So like the Captain Holt is definitely lawful good.
Yeah.
He's so about
this Firefly here. He is chaotic good.
Yes.
Wesker is lawful good, and Garrus, my third cat, is chaotic evil.
My cat's definitely on the chaos side because she'll sit there and lay with you all nice and sweet, and then she was doing it with my brother when he was here. And then when he went to get up, she didn't like that and bit him like, really hard. That left a mark. Because that's what you get for not taking care of me. So, anyways, Justice League. I like the art here in this. I thought
that's solid.
You know, the action flowed really well. I like seeing all the different versions of the heroes.
A lot of 2-page layouts, a lot of big action spreads.
It was a quick read. It was a quick read. I like that.
Quicker than normal for one of these issues, honestly, because usually Snyder will bog it down in a lot of dialogue and narration. This was a bit lighter in that, which I appreciate, actually. This is more what I'd call a normal amount that should be there. But yeah, what are you giving it then?
I'm going to give this an 8.5. I really enjoyed this issue. And the fact that I got mad at Kendra, but that's the point. Like, it worked. Well, I got worked.
I'll give it a solid 8. I think it was a good issue. Definitely this arc has been better than some of the middle stuff in the run that I've had more problems with. And you know, I mean, I'm still kind of in this weird place with it where I'm not like super excited about every issue. I'm kind of like, okay, I'll read Justice League now. It's never the first thing I read, you know, when it comes out. Yeah. But that was a solid issue. So that'll take us on to Aquaman issue 53. Kelly Sue DeConnick writing with Robson, Rocha, and Eduardo Pansica on the art. First thing I want to talk about actually is the art, because I feel like I like both of these artists. I think Pansica has been very good on Supergirl, a lot of Supergirl issues recently, and I could tell the difference between their pages. And what's funny is I think the art is a little bit hit and miss in this issue, but I don't think it's because one artist is better than the other. I think they both have their hit and miss pages. It's weird.
Yeah.
But they both have really good pages, and they both have mediocre pages, I guess I'll say.
And also there wasn't a whiplash, right? Of like, this art's so different. So I appreciated that for sure.
It was different enough that I could tell who was who, but not to the point where it was like disastrously annoying or anything like that.
No. So this story with Tristan Maurer, I am here for this because, although I will say he's a little bit too much. He's a captain, but he's also a writer. But he might not so much be a writer as much as he was just writing down things he observed himself, which I think that's a fun twist on things.
Yeah, he because they don't even try and hide it. He kind of says, I'm that monster that attacked your friend. And we get this backstory where when he was a kid, which was 200 plus years ago, because he keeps saying 200 years, and then he keeps correcting Aquaman. And change 200 and change. We find out that he had like imaginary monster friends, except they might not be imaginary because they actually like did things. They push people over, hit their hats off. Although it was making me think, like, is it actually imaginary monster friends, or like, or is it just telekinesis? Is it just how he's doing it in his head? Although the fact that he's actually turned into a giant monster now implies that there is some monstrous stuff going on at least.
Which and if you know Lovecraft, not that I'm an expert or anything, but this plays into that, is that he's slowly driven more mad by knowing that these things exist. And that by the time he tries to get away and start a new life in America, it doesn't go so well with his scary buddies, and they might be responsible for that. But I also did like I'm always a sucker for world building, and the fact that we're getting into Amnesty Bay and why he named it Amnesty, and put the lighthouse where it was, and I like all of that. And what that means for Aquaman is that like this place on the coast is a beckoning point. It draws people there, and that's why Maurer ended up there. So I really like all that. Yeah,
and we also find out that he's basically been away at sea for all this time because he knows he's dangerous to civilization. So he's actually it's making me almost think it's almost like a Hulk thing where he turns into the monster and he can't control himself. So he just stays away to sort of keep it on, at least stay away from anyone who could get hurt. And he accuses of Jackson of not saving the guy who died, and Aquaman gets very defensive of him, and it becomes this bit of a commotion. It's actually just as that's starting to get to a head though that because we find out the reason why he's back because Aquaman questions that. He says because I was summoned, and we don't know who summoned him, right? This is interesting.
But it has something to do with the gods being on that island.
Oh, absolutely.
That's when he showed up. So it almost makes me wonder if this is like a dark gods thing, and these are their opposites, which we kind of saw in Drowned Earth, which I wouldn't put it past Kelly Sue to try to tie that in. That you have these gods that were forbidden, pushed away, and whatnot, and not that he's one of those, but it's similar.
And it's just that this is coming to a head, and he's saying he was summoned, and whatnot. We get the Black Manta stuff coming in where he's driving the Mecha Manta or whatever it's called. I always forget the name. It's coming in to attack, and just as this is happening, of course, Mira shows up because the book actually starts with Mira and Atlantis, so saying that we have to go for blood because
someone is destroying their history.
Yeah, someone from the surface. So she gets to the beach, and we actually get our first moment where Mira and Arthur see each other. And Mira's all gun ho. She's all very angry, looking for a fight because of what's happened. And I love that as soon as she sees Arthur, she turns to Volko and says, "How's my hair?" It's this sort of thing. Like this is what he does to her immediately.
She melts. Yeah. She melts. So also what would happen with you and Mira? Oh, she killed me. Okay, well we're gonna go on past that. I like the way that was handled.
Yeah, we still have to deal with that. We have to deal with what happened exactly and get to it.
Yeah. So, but then the Manta attacks, you know, and that looked pretty cool with the when it pops up out of the water. I definitely got Godzilla Power Ranger vibes.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I'm guessing actually hit. This is some of the best Pansica pages actually. I love the panel at the bottom of the next page where it's just a close up of Mira's face and her eyes light up because she's about to go to town. Really like that reminded me of his Supergirl work. Just those strong shadows, all that kind of stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, and you know, we get the big doom symbol in the sky at the end because the dog's looking up. So we get kind of the bullshit. It almost feels like the Black Manta stuff is kind of like this forced thing because of the doom stuff, but it is also exactly what brought Mira and Arthur together again. So I think she's doing a good job of interweaving it, even though it's kind of separate from the actual monster plot and, you know, this you know, Lovecraftian stuff that we're doing. But hey, it feels like an Aquaman book, and that's nice.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was handled well here. You see the doom signal in the dog's eye, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, it looks good.
But yeah, it's good. That's what Aquaman has been since Kelly's just taken over. I really look forward to this book. This is the last one that I read this week. Like I was saving it. So yeah, it keeps up its quality.
Honestly, yeah, it was the surefire hit for me this week because Batman, of course, has been up and down. Justice League sometimes can be too wordy for me. You know, Metal Men and Tales from the Dark Multiverse were both kind of unknown quantities. So this was the one that was like, hey, I know I'm going to like this. I know this is going to be good because it's been good consistently. So that's like 153. What you rating it?
I'm gonna give this one an 8.
8.
I mean, the art's a bit spotty, keeping it from going higher, but I really liked the contents and how it's effortlessly bringing in, you know, the Mara story, the Manta story, the Mara story, all this other stuff. I don't feel like it's too much, which can seem like a problem.
Yeah, I'm going to go just a nudge higher and say 8.5 for this one, I think, for me. Yeah. So, there you go. Well, that'll take you on to Jimmy Olsen, issue 4, Matt Fraction writing with Steve Lieber on the art. So you're on your own for this one, because that Jin's isn't here.
And you stopped on these, but so in this one, this is the first time that I really feel like this book isn't tied into what's actually going on in Superman, in action, in Lois. Because the way that Fraction writes, it feels like such, I don't want to say satire, it's not the right word, but maybe a parody of superhero comics. And I want to feel like that's on purpose, but I'm not too sure. But here, you know, Jimmy Olsen has died, but Timmy Olsen is now like this vlogger, and he shows up basically to talk with people, and kind of embarrass them. And it's not a good look, but it keeps getting more ratings. So like he'll go up to the mayor of Gotham City and ask him if Gotham is Latin for God's toilet, and then when he gets the reaction that he wants, it comes across, you got all snapped. Right? And then like he's with Dr. Fate and he asked him, he goes, check it, what if we put bees in this dude's hat? And so he's like, my helmet, who are you? How did you? And then all of a sudden there's bees in Fate's helmet and you got all snapped. And like he brings a bunch of jokers to the Cookie Pagoda to see how many it's going to take before Batman notices. And so it cuts to him, and he looks like it's him and Lois, and Jimmy looks like he hasn't slept. There's dark circles under his eyes, and she tells him like, "This isn't you, Jimmy. Like you're a Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer." He's like, "Yeah, but this gets clicks. That's what the Daily Planet wanted." So it shows a bunch more of these mean-spirited things, and she's, not happy with it. And they basically say that because he's trying to he wants Lois's help in piecing the story together. And the weird thing here is Lois goes to smoke, which I didn't think she was, an actual smoker. But I don't know if this is for the joke, because he slaps the lighter out of her hand. And he goes, "You're gonna burn down my crazy board." And she goes, it's not a crazy board, Jimmy. It's a sociogram. The right words matter. So then again, it plays into what we've seen in Rucka's, right? With her not being able to spell, but knowing how to write and all of this stuff. And it all points to Lex. But the problem with this is that because the family history with his great whatever, and there's a whole page that beautifully shows all that. All how this all plays out with the Luthers is Lois is like, no, you started with Lex Luthor, and you worked your way back to fit a narrative. So this is actually just a crazy board, which leaves him nowhere near where he needed it. And then it goes back to show how, what had happened with him getting kicked out of Metropolis, and his lawyer is basically telling him, don't say anything. It's his lawyer and landlord, of course. That was the joke that was set up. And he goes, no, I can, the guy that died, I was with Superman that night, and that was that issue where we saw him talking with Superman, and Superman kept leaving to go do stuff. He's like, let me just contact him. Let me activate my signal watch. So they do, but Superman's busy fighting some bad guys in DC and can't show up. So he gets taken to jail. But then you find out that the guy that put him in jail looks like he's working for Lex. And he's a dirty detective. And that guy ends up getting killed by, it looks like an agent of Lex. I'm not sure who this lady is, but she's all cloak and dagger, wearing a dark trench coat, blonde hair, and whatnot. So what does Jimmy do? He decides that he's going to take his chauffeur costume and go be Lex's helicopter pilot. Where then he reveals all of this to Lex and tells him, that I know you've done all this to me to ruin me because of our family histories that run together. But Lex is like, no, I've never stooped to killing my enemies, Olsen. If they're dead, they'll never see it when it looks like when I beat them. So it's basically Lex going like, yeah, someone is out to get you, but it's not me. Which then leads Jimmy to be like, all right, I know how to fly a helicopter. I don't know how to land a helicopter, so this is where I get out. So he jumps out of the helicopter with a parachute on and leaves Lex to have to pilot it himself. But yeah, so he's now Jimmy's laying low in Gotham, and you see a bunch more of his Timmy Olsen vlogs where he's done stuff like steal the Batmobile's wheel, like in the old Jingle Bells Batman Smells.
Robin flew away.
Right? And so it shows Vicky Vale reporting, and then it also has him in front of a billboard that's does Jason live or die? Right? And Jimmy responds, or if you call the other number citizens of Metropolis, well, guess what? So it's playing off of all this stuff, but when it cuts back to him and Lois after he tells the story of what happened with Lex, he has the Batmobile wheel in his apartment. And so Lois is, tells him, you've declared war on Lex Luthor and Batman, the two most dangerous men on Earth. Sure hope you're not planning on escalating things soon. And then it cuts out, and the last page is what looks like the bat signal, but with the Superman S. So we've ruled out Lex Luthor. However, it also looks like one of Lex's, I think it's Tessmacher, is the one that's behind
Miss Tessmacher!
A lot of this. Yeah. So another funny moment in this is it goes back to Lois smoking, and that she goes to have a vape, and Jimmy smacks it out of her hand and goes, no, Lois, vaping's for teens. Which that's the hardest laugh I got out of this. So again, it's starting to feel like it's its own continuity, which is fine. But when we know now this Superman Heroes thing is coming out, how is this going to play in to all of that? Because this isn't Apex Lex, right? Like that's the same Lex that's going on, This is the one problem with continuity that'll give people that don't enjoy continuity is you get wrapped up in all of these little things, and you start pulling that thread and it unravels your sweater. However, I want to see how it all fits together. So, but the art's pretty good. Lieber, it's still on point. There's this real fun sequence where he goes through his family history, and it looks like it's on the crazy board, but it's like news clippings of everything, and you follow him as he goes. Like it looks like he's hanging on the thread, and as you follow Jimmy, you follow the way that the bubbles go, and it tells the story up to this point. So that was pretty good. And then just the, Lieber and Fraction have great timing when it comes to expressions and whatnot, which just really makes or breaks this book. But I overall enjoyed it. I just want to see how, this doesn't feel like the same Lois. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It doesn't feel like the same Lex that we've seen. So I'm curious to see how this all plays out.
You gonna read it?
Yep. So I'm gonna give this one an 8.
Cool. Excellent. I saw this before we started, but I thought I'll bring it up now since I've just been reminded of it. Michael Giacchino is going to score the Batman, which is pretty interesting. I mean, hell, I'm saying that. I didn't even mention the fact that, Paul, what's his face? Dano has been cast as the Riddler, and Zoe Kravitz has been cast as Catwoman. There was so much Batman movie news this week.
And you add that to Jeffrey Wright's Gordon.
Yep.
This is just casting alone is giving Nolan a run.
I don't. Here's the thing. I don't want to hope. I have been let down too many times. I don't want to have hope. And this goddamn cast and like the composer, all this stuff is building up to try and make me care. And I don't want to care. Not until it's like in front of me. And then that can make me care by itself.
No, I'm here. I've been here since Matt Reeves was in for it. So I like that director a lot.
Well, so do I. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is like a modern masterpiece, but
I know.
Damn it.
Hey, it's not Snyder Batman, so that's automatically a upgrade.
That's true. All right, that'll take us on to Metal Men issue 1. Dan Didio writing with Shane Davis on the art.
Mm-hmm. So Pete, you're pretty unfamiliar with the Metal Men, right?
I mean, I'm familiar with them to a point, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're not like, whereas their history and
sure.
The responsometer and all this other stuff. Which is who I think this book was geared toward. So I'm curious to see where you land before I put my 2 cents in.
It worked for me well enough. I think it did a good job of just selling this idea of these 5 robots who think they're sentient, and Magnus kind of reveals that no, you're not really sentient. I've failed every time I've tried. It fakes sentience pretty well, but you're not really alive. And it simultaneously reveals that from Challenger Mountain, because of all the Dark Multiverse stuff, it reappeared. There was a liquid metal entity inside the volcano or the mountain, which they discover. An nth metal, yes.
Yeah, liquid nth metal.
Liquid nth metal. I can almost see Robert Patrick in my head right now. So, like, I like what it's set up. I like that he's kind of rejuvenated at the end. He's like, oh, there's sentient nth metal with a mind of its own. Oh, I'm getting in on this. I'm going to rebuild my Metal Men and see what I can do. That's interesting. So tell me, the history of Metal Men. Is this a huge shock, this idea that they've never actually been sentient before?
Yes, because there's been so many different versions of them, and that each one's a little bit different, and because of continuity and whatnot, and that, as it were, so he built the responsometers, right? And the responsometers is what's responsible for bringing them to life, and that's where the soul of each one inhabits. But also, they get character traits from the metal that they're based on. So, like iron, of course, iron's always super strong. Lead's super durable. Gold's like the heart of the team. And then you had Mercury, who's kind of in a liquid state because it's the one metal that's actually in. Can go into liquid form. And you had Tin, who was always a little bit kind of like Piglet from Winnie the Pooh, afraid of everything, but is there. And then in the 90s, I feel it's the 90s or 2000s, they introduced Platinum, who's this Tina character who you always kind of feel that Magnus had put a lot into her as, this was like a woman that had gotten away. And but she was also like, I don't want to say the heart of the team or the soul of the team, but when she came in, it kind of changed the dynamics as it was the first lady, right? And so for basically Didio to come in and say that, no, they've never been truly sentient because they were all based off of the thoughts and attitudes of Dr. Magnus himself. I feel that's real good sci-fi. I don't know if I like that for the Metalmen, though. Because it takes a bit of that character away from them and going like, oh, no, it was me the whole time. And like these zany fun adventures.
Well, here's the thing though. I feel like one of two things is going to happen. We're going to get a story here where a sentience is achieved by the end of the story, right? Or we're going to get to a point here where he realizes that he was wrong and they did have sentience. He just didn't understand it.
Right. And that's where I hope it is, because you also, the thing with Dr. Magnus is he's very full of himself. That is his fatal flaw. Is they bring it up here that the other guys.
Matt, you make. Yeah. No, because I do love actually when he starts talking about Ivo and Morrow. He's like,
Morrow.
Yeah, he's like, those pretenders, those charlatans. I'm the real scientist.
And so so that was always part of the thing of the Metal Men, because they were all relatively good natured. They would kind of bring the Doc down to his. Back down to level. But I did like here that they've all been different. So all the Metalmen we've ever seen have existed. They've been different adventures, and what accounts for differences over time.
Yeah, but it gives it this kind of dark thing where he's got this room full of all these dead robots that he's discontinued.
And that it always happens, and it reminded me of, like, I forget what movie it is, but you find out that they've been going through these loops, and that only certain people are aware of it. And like, I'm gonna have to tell them because this is what always happens.
I think I like this just in the sense, and again, I don't have super I mean, I've read 52, which they're in a fair chunk of, and I've read a few other things, but I think I like this at least on its own, as a dark bit of sci-fi where there's this really dark tinge to it, where they're just being retried over and over again, and the previous ones are just being abandoned. There is a kind of a sad, dark science fiction take here that I kind of like.
It's very Black Mirror with the Metalmen, which to me I like lighter. I like my Metalmen. Like, my favorite Metalmen story was by it was a backup, I forget which book, but with Giffen and Maguire, and it was all very zany and fun, and that's how I like my Metalmen.
Sure.
So it comes out to taste. This was a fine book. I mean, the fact that it's Didio, sometimes I forget he does have writing chops.
Honestly, Didio's not a bad writer.
No. I mean, I also enjoyed his Outsiders way back in the day, and when he pops in for an issue or two, like Sideways, right?
They did all Sideways, did they not?
No, because maybe he was co-writer?
I think he was co-writer on Sideways. I think he was there for the whole thing.
Yeah, well, let's look this up.
Sideways.
Which would make a lot of sense for the next book we're going to talk about. Because there's something on the horizon.
That is true. There's something else from Sideways popping up in the next book.
Which I'm glad that I went back and read that after your, after how much you love the book.
Yeah, because now you know who Tempus Fugit is. So
yes, Tempus Fugit. It was Justin Jordan and Dan Didio at the start, and then
I think at some point Didio did a few issues on his own as well.
Yeah, he did. And that's why I'm trying to find what issue. It doesn't say, but yeah, I know it was started by Justin Jordan, Kenneth Rockfort, and Dan Didio. So, anyways, but no, I ended up liking it. It's a different take, on the Metalmen.
Because I like the pages where we actually had like the scientists going to the mountain with the the couple of lab technicians or whatever, and we have like the liquid metal coming up, and it's like, oh shit, something's going down.
And it's calling for him, right? Like
it feels like a sci-fi movie. It feels like, okay, we're introducing the monster here, and he obviously has a sci-fi element where he brings robots with him. But like, I don't know, it felt like I could see this as the start of a movie. I'm kind of hopeful about this 12-issue book.
Yeah.
I'm into it so far.
Good. I'm glad. That's what I like to hear, because again, this is one of the Metalmen are one of those DC properties that like I have a lot of love for, even though I don't have like I can't point to you runs that I'm a big fan of.
Sure.
I love the idea. So for someone that's not as familiar
Oh,
to latch on to it, that's good. I mean,
and because I left this to last, actually. I read this right before we started the show. I think I finished this like 2 minutes before you said you're online.
gotcha.
And I wasn't like dreading it or anything, but it's one of those things where I just didn't know what to expect from it. So I wasn't excited or unexcited. I was just kind of neutral. So I just kind of got left to the end. And I don't know. So far, I'm into, and you know, I'll give Didio credit that despite the fact that we always give him shit for kind of like ruining certain things or having these weird shitty opinions about, you know, legacy characters and Wally West and whatever, he does always seem to like the stuff he writes or works on himself always does seem to be these weird little passion projects that might not even get greenlit otherwise. Like he's doing Metal Men. Sideways lasted a bit longer than it might have done. What was it? Was it Demon Knight at the start of New 52? He always seems to give himself these little niche things that he wants to do. He is passionate about some stuff, and I'll commend that. I just wish he was passionate about everything that DC fans were passionate about.
Yeah, it's easy to beat up on him, and as we've seen, because he has been the face of when something doesn't work, he's the one that lays on the grenade. But like I remember listening to him on Fat Man on Batman, the dude knows his stuff. Like, you know, so as much as it's easy to you know make him the whipping boy for DC, most of the time his heart is in the right place, and you can kind of tell with stuff like this, where, like you said, you can feel the passion for it. Because I'm pulling up some of the other stuff that he's done here.
Yeah.
In the last couple, he did Batman and the Outsiders. I remember that one. OMAC was him. Back in 2011, 2012. Weird Western Tales he did. He did a Metalman story in Wednesday Comics back in 2009. Wrestling International, no. Future's End, we're not talking about that. That was terrible. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot on here. He's mainly been an editor throughout his career, but I'm not mad when he does pop into write.
No, it's interesting. It's an interesting different voice. But I was into it. I like how it's like a sci-fi movie. I mean, the art's not like blowing me away. It's
no,
dependable,
it's fine.
But it's not,
it's fine.
There's no like style to it that I kind of really like or anything like that.
I do like seeing the different versions of the Metal Men, like the slight differences. So like Tina's head shaped different in some of them, and stuff. But yeah, no, it was good. It was better than I thought it was gonna be. Because again, it's Didio. You're like, oh, how could this? You know, is this just like a vanity thing? He loves Metal Men, so we're gonna write it. And it turns out like it's one of these weird holdovers too with the with metal. That they try to do with the what was that line that Sideways came from? Shoot, what was that called, Pete?
What?
That's where we got Terrifics and
the New Age of DC Heroes.
New Age, yeah. This feels like a weird holdover to that. Like this should have came out at the same time as those, you know. But again, with all the Doom stuff happening now, with the Dark Multiverse back on the, wavelength, like this feels like it's at the right time. It's weird.
Yeah. So, no, I was into it. What are you giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give it 7.5.
I'll give it an 8. I was into it. I like what it was doing. I did a good job of just slowing down, just presenting a simple idea of because I like how it starts with Magnus, and we don't really know what he's talking about yet, but he just sounds like he's in a bad place, and he's kind of lost it. He's kind of this disgruntled old scientist, but then he gets like this spark of life at the end when he hears this news. He's like, oh no, I've got reasons to keep trying. I've got reasons to try again. And I kind of like that as a motivation. So, 8 out of 10 for me. So that'll take us out to the final book of the week, which is the first of this new series of one-shots. Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Batman Knightfall, issue 1. Scott Snyder and Cale Higgins co-writing, with Javier Fernandez on the art. And given the amount of dialogue, I'm going to say right now that Scott Snyder just plotted this, and Cale Higgins did the script, because I don't think the dialogue is too heavy. So,
Yeah.
That's my guess. So we weren't really sure exactly how this was going to tackle this, in the sense that I was like, it was just going to tell the story of Knightfall, but with the different elements. And that is not what happens here. Basically, it recaps what Knightfall's supposed to be in about 2 pages, and then says, no, but here's the extra thing that happened at the end that changed it. And we actually jump 30 years later to see the world where Azrael stuck around, Jean Paul stuck around as the Batman of Gotham City, and what that's become. And then just tells a story in that world. So.
Yep. And so he becomes Saint Batman. And what does that mean for Gotham going forward? And everything's changed.
Mm-hmm. He basically burns down the city and then gets it rebuilt because because he wants to shape it in his image. And
hey man, 2019 was good to Azrael and Jean Paul. Between Curse of the White Knight and Justice League Odyssey and now this, but yeah, the drive to be Batman also drives him insane, which is what we can say is a thing that happens to people that aren't named Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, well, he has to take Venom to keep his strength up, so he's become addicted to that. He's getting sicker and sicker. So Jean-Paul killed Batman. Batman came back to takes the city back from Bane. Yep. He seemed to beat Bane, but Azrael killed Bruce. Seemingly killed Bruce. He's not actually dead.
Well, yeah, because he didn't want to... He's Batman now, so he doesn't want to give it up. So, Bruce gets the sword treatment, and then he takes over, and we don't know what happened to the rest of the Bat family. They're not around, but it seems like Jean-Paul has instituted a theocracy around the Order of Saint Dumas.
Yeah, he's got a wife who kind of acts as his Alfred. And he's older. He's 30 years later. We find out that he's actually got Bruce still alive. Bruce is just a head and a torso with no limbs on a machine thing. Ooh. And he comes to him every year just to ask him to admit that his way is better, essentially. Mm-hmm. And Bruce, of course, is never going to do that. And the story of this issue is actually there's an uprising from the League of Shadows. We see, League of Assassins. And we see, this Dumas order. They just behead Penguin and his lackey.
And it's Cardinal and the Torchbearer, which are 2 good names. And I was hoping that we'd get reveals. We don't, but Torchbearer definitely feels like a Firefly. Just this flaming sword hooked up to this backpack.
Honestly, the best piece of art in the issue might be after he's done the beheadings. There's a panel of him holding the flaming sword up, and he says, "For Gotham." It's a really good panel.
It's good.
Looks good.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get to that page now.
But yeah, there's explosions around the city, and it turns out that there's this uprising happening, and we have this skinny guy who's like, "Oh, you don't know my father," and then he takes Venom, and it's like, "Oh, this is Bane's kid." Shows up, and he comes to rescue Bruce. And it's like, hey, we've got a solution for you not having a body. Don't you worry. So they've got a nanotech body for him, and it's also Bane with a hoodie on. It's kind of funny to me. He's got a hood on. Yeah.
Well, and I like that, So his power comes from his dad had taken so much venom that it got into his genetics, and now he's. I don't want to say Hulk-like, but he can turn it on and off.
Yeah, he can naturally Hulk out, essentially.
Huge, yeah. And I like that. And then you find out, too, that it's not just him. He has his mom. And his mom's Lady Shiva, which now I was hoping for Cass to show up as older sister, but alas.
No, they're here to take Gotham back. So they give Bruce a body, and, of course...
Made out of nano... stuff that kind of pretty cool. It's almost like a swarm of bats.
Yeah, because we see him kind of flying around later. It's like there's bats around him. It's kind of an interesting image. But they come to fight him, obviously. And Azrael's like, "No, Bruce, you're back." Yada yada yada. And fighting ensues. And what's kind of interesting about this is that Bruce does win. I mean, Bane's son gets his arm ripped off. I just want to point out because he needs a fix of venom, and he knows that venom's inside Bane's son, so he just rips off his arm and then drinks venom from his severed arm.
There's some between the torso of Bruce. In this, there's some pretty effed up stuff in this.
I mean, I guess that's the thing. We're doing this dark multiverse one shot, is we can do dark shit.
I know that sounds like it sounds like a complaint. It's not a complaint. I'm just making an observation.
Because there's a panel at the end of this where there's just venom dripping down his face, and his eyes are all lit up, and he's smiling with a big grin. Yeah, that's a great psychotic looking panel. but yeah, so Batman or Bruce or whatever does what after Bane's son like stabs Azrael and kills him.
And then hits him with the backbreaker, which him minus the arm, that is a feat, man. Like even Roddy Strong couldn't do that, and he's the messiah of the backbreaker.
However, it turns out that Bruce being nothing but a head and a torso for 30 years has turned him into a psychotic maniac. That's probably an oxymoron or redundant or whatever. But he kills Shiva and Bane's son with his bat nanotech things, and then has the same look in his face that Azrael had with the big grinning teeth and the yellow eyes. And we find out that he is so far gone because of this, that this is what it took to break Bruce Wayne, that now he is going to rule like a dictator. Just like Azrael was. And what we really need to mention is the wraparound here, where it's Tempest Fuginoid, who's or Fuginaut, sorry, who is, because it's very Crisis. We were seeing all these Earths sort of in a row. And he's talking about how there's this dark multiverse that he can travel to, and something is stirring. And it's like, this is another failed Earth. This is another failed dark multiverse. There's no hope for this one. But what's really interesting is it says next death of Superman, and it makes me wonder if all these Dark Multiverse one-shots are building to something.
I feel like they are between... So we've had Tempest Fuginaut now, and he popped up in Sideways, right? And Sideways was tied to metal, right? He got his powers from the mountain showing up, and then we learned that he could jump in between dimensions. That's how he comes into Tempest, and there was a whole interlude arc, right? Remember where he teamed up with the Superboy to fight all the forgotten heroes? That's kind of, we didn't really know about the Dark Multiverse. We did, but not really, right? That very much felt like a Dark Multiverse, in that now Tempest is going through these almost like the Monitor, right? And looking at these Earths that are doomed to die. And you add that into the villain series that's coming up that Tynion's doing with Epting.
Yeah.
And the whole doom and chaos and all of this. I feel like there's a crisis afoot. Like, there's going to be a legitimate crisis coming, because it's been since Final Crisis, if we want to count that one. But
it depends if
continuity altering.
It depends if you count Flashpoint, I suppose.
Yeah. That's missing the pieces. That's like a reboot of a Crisis. You know what I mean? We're like, we're gonna do the same thing, but we're not gonna have the pieces.
Well, I think what goes along with what you're saying here is that we've been talking about this fifth age, like, you know, because they've split it into these like 4 generations or 4 ages. I feel like given that we're hearing rumors in 2020 of a fifth age, I feel like what sets up a new age but a Crisis, right? It kind of makes sense. So
and Metal was kind of a Crisis, but not really. That almost sets the stage for this now, because we got the Batman Who Laughs running around with the Secret Six.
And I don't know how much of this will be that relevant. I don't know if you'll need to have read this for this new thing that happens to make sense. But it is a nice tease, and at least this, and obviously each one's by a different writer, so, you know, a different team, so the quality will vary. I thought this one was actually kind of a solid read for what it was.
Yeah, it was. It's, again, I like Higgins. I've never been disappointed by a Higgins book. So I tend to like his stuff more. That's why I want to read his Power Rangers. I'm not, I have them. I have not read them, though.
It was a little bit longer. I was obviously, these are the bigger sort of, 40-page books. But it read smoothly enough, and I enjoyed kind of the dark nature. Like, I really liked the arm ripping off and drinking the venom straight from the blood of the arm was so good.
And then he strings up Jean Paul's corpse at the end, the last page.
Yeah,
across Gotham to be a symbol
on display as a message
that a broken Bruce that never gets to recover is the worst possible. So, but I like that. I like how he becomes Saint Batman at the end.
I realize this sounds like a parody of myself because I'm Scottish, but it made me think of Braveheart a little bit, because at the end of Braveheart, you hear that Edward Longshanks, had William Wallace displayed everywhere, all across the country. It was a warning. That's what it reminded me of. Surprisingly, it was a solid book. Obviously, it'll vary probably based on the writers, but interesting. We've got this like sort of narrator, this voyeur in Tempest Fuginaut, who is going to presumably be there at the start and the end of each issue, kind of watching these. What's he looking for? And is the final one that we get before whatever event or book that it leads into, which I think is going to happen. I think it's leading to something. Maybe not directly. I could see it ending and then in a couple of months, and then we get an announcement of something and find out, hey, that those one shots, they were all kind of like leaning into this.
They were seeding the ground, because also Batman Superman with Williamson. So we all know that they're pretty high on Williamson and Tynion. Look at the high profile books they're on.
Yeah.
So if they're working on something together, like they both seem to be leading to the same spot. So I'm here for it. Whatever, even if nothing comes of this, I like that Tempest is that character, almost like a watcher, or a monitor. Like,
I always sound so simple, but just that little thing at the end saying next time Death of Superman, I'm like, you don't usually say that at the end of a one shot. This is interesting. This is them saying, no, these are kind of connected in some loose way, and there might be an end game kind of involved of some kind. If not in the one shots themselves, whatever they're kind of setting up. Not that I necessarily think, again, I don't think there'll be required reading for whatever's going to come from it, but...
So here we go. We're going to jump down Matt's conspiracy hole here.
Oh, God.
Is that the name Tempest Fugonaut, right, goes to Time Flies. So he's is a traveler. 0 Hour wasn't quite a crisis, right? But it changed things. It altered the time in order to restructure DC at the time. So it almost makes you wonder if this is going to be a type of time crisis. Whereas Crisis was dealing with the multiple Earths and all of this. Well, now we only have 52. We don't have Infinite Earths anymore. But we have Infinite Dark Multiverse. Perpetua, now the creator of the multiverse, has risen to power. So that makes me wonder if... remind me of the bad guy in Metal, the Bat God.
Oh, Barbatos.
Barbatos. Makes me wonder if Barbatos is almost the Perpetua of the Dark Multiverse, right? And now the multiverse has won. Somehow someone's going to create something that brings these dark worlds to life. And that's what, that's going to alter things or whatever. I don't know. But with the name that Tempest Fugit means time flies, and this is the guy now, like, I don't know.
Not to be confused with the villain Tempest Fugit from Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, which was a fun set of episodes.
I don't remember those.
Which also had... Because H.G. Wells literally showed up with a time machine, and Tempest Fugit was this guy in the future who stole the time machine and tried to, basically become successful and powerful by going into the past. Really fun. Season 3 and 4 of that show were not that good, but those episodes were pretty good.
They tried to make it fun, at least.
They did. It was very pulpy. I have fun with that. Even the bad seasons, I have fun with that show. Anyway, so this book was good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the next stuff. I mean, it's funny, we actually had another question come in on Twitter, which I think can nicely tie into the discussion of this book. But it's a bit of a negative question, admittedly, but it does tie into this because it does kind of hear it. This is from at Glenn Reads Comics. Why is DC doubled down on the Snyderverse and dark doom and gloom? Sales across the board are dropping on almost every DC title. Do the powers that be really think this is what the consumer base wants? And I think if you're sick of the darker stuff, okay, this isn't going to help because it is. Here's the multiverse. There's dark multiverse. Here's arms been ripped off and misery and everything.
I don't feel like this is not synergy at play. I feel like Snyder's plan with you don't bring back the Justice Society in a dark world.
Sure.
Those are shiny, bright, hopeful.
I will tell you, if I have a complaint about anything right now about the line with the Snyder stuff, is just this forced tie-in bullshit with all these other books have to see the symbol in the sky. They have to get the little drone with the offer or whatever. All that stuff, I could have done without all that.
Yeah. So this definitely plays into. There's light at the end of the tunnel here. But I feel whatever it's going to be.
But I feel like if you're not into the Snyder side of the DC corner right now, maybe you're not a Bendis fan, but I feel like Bendis' corner is much more hopeful and bright for the most part. Obviously, Event Leviathan's a bit darker, but it's definitely more fun.
But I still feel like once that's all settled, it's not what we think it is.
Because Young Justice is nothing but fun. Superman in action are typically a very sort of fun, light thing.
The Wonder Comic stuff. I mean, you guys like Dial H for the most part. I like Wonder Twins. So, you have Superman. Lois is kind of dark, but that's because that's that book, the Jimmy Olsen books, as I just said.
Of course,
it's a whole lot of fun.
It's a weird time right now, because I don't think what they're building to just now is as good as like the build to Infinite Crisis, but I do feel the cohesive universe build there. There's something going on, which is nice. It's just a question of how much we like it or dislike it, and does it work from a storytelling perspective. I think it's easy to be cynical right now, especially since we're so soon after Heroes in Crisis, and there's a couple of things that are a big problem still. Dick Grayson needs to be fixed. That's for sure. Like that's in a rough place. Wally, of course, coming from Heroes in Crisis, and there's a couple of things that aren't quite there.
But I also feel like that they're fixing Harley, right? I feel like she's going to be cohesive for the first time in a while throughout stuff that's going on. Like there's these little seeds. Superman's being not restructured, but re-strengthened, right? He's refortified, I guess is the word, to kind of what he was before the whole New 52 gamble, where they try to make him young because young is more relevant.
Yeah, I mean, when Shazam comes out, that's a bright, hopeful book.
That's a bright, hopeful book. I mean, not right now with King Shazam running around, but hey, we'll get to the end of it.
I mean, there is a lot of dark stuff in DC, and but at the same time, I can't really shit on it because my favorite book of the last while was Harley in issue 1, which obviously was a dark, mature take on one of the characters, which works for some characters, does not work for others.
No.
But I don't know. There's enough good stuff in here. It's just maybe not necessarily the most obvious main stuff that you maybe hoped it would be at any given time.
Well, and this is proof of the metaverse, is that like the state of the world where we are right now, it's looking bleak. It's looking grim across the globe. Like art's gonna reflect that, and we always need that hopeful stuff. So I feel like Bendis is fighting that with Superman and allowing Superman to do what he needs to do. I mean,
I think that's why Dick hurts so much, because and Wally as well to an extent, is that those characters are so inherently hopeful. But I mean, we've said in the past of the heart and soul of the DCU, so having them be in these miserable plot lines where they're just not themselves, or what, in different ways for each of them, but that kind of is why those hurt so much, because it feels not only are they out of character, they're doing stories that we don't want to see with those characters. Is that those are where I typically look for the hopeful, upbeat kind of, we can do better, we can accomplish things, we can, Batman can be, I mean, I like Batman's story occasionally, don't get me wrong, but Batman can be dark and fits being dark and will probably be dark most of the time, so.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, that's what I always appreciated with Batwoman too. Batwoman could do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, her whole backstory is with her sister and how dark that is, and then she becomes a soldier. And what does that do to her and her relationship with her dad? That's all prime for the dark. So there's room for it, But if you're upset with that, I mean, there's still light books out there, like Pete was saying.
Yeah.
You just gotta look for them.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously not everything they're doing right now is for everyone, but there is definitely, I think, bright spots in there if you want the lighter stuff and the happier, the hopeful stuff, which I do want as well. It's like, I guess no one was complaining more about everything being just grim and whatever during the New 52 than me. Like I was adamantly.
Well, that's because that was a boring grim. That was like late 90s kind of ew.
The funny thing is, though, is that there's older fans than us who think that the build-up to Infinite Crisis was too grim, and they wanted the lighter 80s stuff and 70s stuff of their childhood. And so it's definitely a generational thing, so there's definitely...
Yeah, but like the death of Blue Beetle paved the way for the Infinite... Like, you know what I mean?
That was a good story. That was the thing. It was so captivating.
That's
I thought
another,
it was captivating.
Throwing back to Talking Superman's question, there's one that I forgot about. Flipping Max Lord shooting... Flipping Ted in the face.
Actually, no, if I'm picking one from that whole saga, it's definitely the next snap, Wonder Woman with Maxwell Lord.
That's with Max Lord. That's it. Yeah. We and Sacrifice. Yeah, it's. But yeah, there's good stuff out there, guys.
Damn it. We have to do something like that. I don't know if it's like a Patreon thing or what, but I do like the idea of like going through that entire, like, from that countdown to Infinite Crisis one shot all the way up to the end of Infinite Crisis, like one issue at a time. Over like years.
You let me know. That is my jam. That is my favorite comic era. So you let me know. We can try to work something out.
That'd be such a fun thing to do.
I I got notes and stuff from all of that. I did a whole paper in college on the grim and grittiness of comics of that era.
Not that I have the omnibus anymore, but just use the omnibus order as a guide and just go through every issue one at a time.
I remember getting to write in a legitimate, not academic because it was just for class, about using the word Superboy Prime punching reality, and it it made a cohesive argument.
I love it.
So yeah.
Oh dear, I stopped promising the content, Matt. We'll never hear the end of it when it doesn't happen. But yeah, so Tales from the Dark Multiverse was a solid first outing, I thought, and yeah, as a horror fan, I enjoyed the arm getting ripped off.
and the blood drank.
Yeah. Plus, it's it's not exactly an Elseworld, but it's Elseworld in the sense that it's a different Earth, and we can do whatever we want here. So, we're giving it. What did you think of the art actually?
It was fine. It's not
Fernandez.
Fernandez is okay, but you could definitely tell he was trying to get that style of the mid 90s Batman comics.
Oh sure, especially I did think actually, because the panel where it shows you Bane breaking Batman's back and it was meant to look like that page did a decent job with the coloring and stuff.
Well, and the sharp angles on Batman too. When he becomes Saint Batman at the end, it has it of that period too. So I'm not going to beat it up for that because I'm not a fan of that style.
I love the idea that someone who doesn't know him very well or doesn't know what's going on, like for some reason meets him at his studio, right? Fernandez's studio, and they walk in and he's got like the page from like Knightfall up on his screen, and he's like kind of looking at it as a reference. And he's like, and someone's just like, "Well, do you just copy everything? Do you just copy old comics all the time?" And I'm like, "No, I need to recreate this page as part of the story. It's not always this easy or hard or." You know what I mean? Like, I just love the idea of someone walking in thinking, "Oh, a professional comic book artist." Well, you're just copying this old comic. You're just sitting looking at it. And...
Well, I remember seeing a thread that started this whole thing on Twitter that real artists aren't tracers, and it was like, well, no. And even Neil Adams is like, well, you don't always trace, but sometimes you have to because at the rate of which we work, you can't do everything perfectly.
Yeah. Also, I mean, and just the idea that artists don't copy. Well, no, of course you copy. Yeah. And this is not just for art in a comic book. Like everyone who becomes an artist or a creator of some kind is influenced by others, and your work always starts off as a concoction of all these other people you like, and then you find your own voice kind of in there and your own little sort of niche or whatever, and but like there's there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's fine. That's just normal.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, Tarantino's made a complete career off of aping other people's stuff, and he makes it work for him. Like that's not
but to be fair,
Tarantino,
but the funny thing is though, but the funny thing is though, is even though Tarantino's stuff is a concoction of all those other movies that he loves, it always feels like Tarantino. You never mistake it for anything other than a Tarantino. You can hear his dialogue sounds like Tarantino. Yeah. The way he shoots his actors is Tarantino-esque.
Yep.
So anyway. What are you giving Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Batman Knightfall?
I'm going to give this one an 8. I like this one.
Yeah, I'll give it a solid 8 too. I thought it was solid. So, there you go. That was the final book. Which will take us on to the part of the show where we pick our favourite stuff of the week. Favourite panel / moment, favourite art, favourite cover, and of course, top 5 books. And I literally read 5 books this week, so...
So I got 1,
I'll be ranking 3, them. You'll have 6, presumably.
I have 6, so I know which one's getting left off.
Oh, I can't wait for this. So best panel / moment we'll start with then, Matt. What you got?
Mine's going to be the Anti-Monitor saying Hail Perpetua. That was a cool moment. I wanted to go also from Justice League when Kamandi brings all the heroes, because that was super cool. I mean, anything with the Justice Society, but there's something about seeing Anti-Monitor's crusty face show back up that hit that nostalgia right in the right spot.
Jails, what to most in Batman, if it had a better art, if it had a good artist in general, might have nailed a moment here. But
again, Bane taking up that whole page. That's how Bane should be presented, right? But not by JR.
But no
offense, man.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's gonna hear this, and then I'm gonna see him at a con. He's gonna like single me out. Like this would never happen. But still, super nice guy. Just not, I don't like his art style. It's just not for me.
I think I've got a couple of options here. I like In Aquaman, I really like that panel of Mira, her eyes lighting up before she's about to go to town on Manta, Mecha Manta.
The Mecha Manta.
Yeah. I really like that panel. I also very tempted with the crazy panel of Azrael with the venom all over his face after drinking it out of the severed arm. Well, not even severed. Like, is it severed when it's just ripped out like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a torn off. It's no longer part of the body.
Yeah. I feel like severed implies cut. This was not a cut.
Yeah, no.
This was just a brutally
Torn.
ripped off. Yeah, I'm probably going to go with that. What's interesting though, both of those panels that I was picking from them were both close-ups of faces with eyes that were lit up, and so but I'll go with that. But with the mirror as a close second. Cover of the week, Matt. What do you have for that?
This one's tough because all the variants are deceased based.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Matina,
I'm not a fan of a lot of them.
The Matina Batman one I don't think is. That's just Bane breaking Batman's back.
Yeah.
That looks quite good actually.
I think I'm gonna go with the Batman Knightfall, Dark Multiverse. It's got Azrael lifting him up above, city on fire behind him.
Sure.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be simple and go with the Matina Batman variant. Yeah, we've got a rule where we don't take, books that weren't read or covered on the show, because otherwise, Superman versus the Clan, or Smashes the Clan rather.
That would have been the so I was trying to get it read, but man, it is not that it's dense, but Yang really is taking his time.
It's just this long, it's 80 pages.
Yeah, yeah. And I got about a third through it, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to finish this. So, yeah. That's a good cover, though.
Actually, having said that, there's a Matina Justice League variant as well, which is also really nice. Oh my, Matina, man, his covers are just stunning. I'm probably still going with the Batman one, but that's Justice League one is close. Really nice. All right, cool. So that is cover. So best art of the week then.
This one's kind of tough too, because they're all kind of along the same lines, but I think I'm going to give it to Justice League.
Redondo. Yeah, obviously there's a standout for worst this week. But for me, there's not like a complete, 5-star art book this week.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I'm probably going to go with Fernandez on Tales from the Dark Multiverse. I think while it's not as super consistent, there's definitely some great panels in there that I really, really liked. Obviously, not that we usually pick a worst, but I'm just going to say Batman for worst because it was by far. So there you go. So then top 5 books of the week, Matt, go.
So number 1 is going to be Justice League. Number 2 is going to be Aquaman. Number 3 is Batman Knightfall. Number 4 is Jimmy Olsen. Number 5 is Metalman.
Cool. My number 1 will be Aquaman. My number 2 will be Metalman. Number 3 will be Batman Knightfall. Number 4 will be Justice League, and number 5 will be Batman. Which are all the books I read. So, not a bad week actually. I mean, as much as there maybe wasn't some standouts like some stuff, but I think there was some interesting things in there. So that is that, which means I will tell you what's coming next week. Once my page loads, there you go. And I get to table view. I don't want images for this one. All right, so coming next week, and it's a biggie, I think, as Matt was implying before we started. So we have Action Comics 1016. We have Aquaman Annual number 2.
Yeah, so I was reading this, and it is Kelly Sue. So this is just basically the next chapter.
Well, cool. I mean, that always makes me more excited, I think.
Yep. It's Vita Ayala, art and cover.
Ooh.
Wait, no, co-writing. Victor Ibanez is
it co-writing or is it a backup by?
No,
Vita?
It just says writer Kelly Sue DeConnick and Vita Ayala. So there might be a backup.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically.
They don't always specify because sometimes that just means they've done a backup. Yeah.
Yeah, so a year of the villain tie-in when an assassination attempt on Aquaman tears through amnesty-based Founders Day festivals.
Yeah.
Tensions between Aquaman. Yeah.
This is the next chapter then. You have to read this if you're reading Aquaman.
Yep. Also, worse, Aquaman dog Salty has gone missing. Can Aquaman save the festival and find his dog before Amnesty Bay tears itself apart? So that's probably the backup. I'm excited for this.
That's cool. Yeah, that's probably the Vita backup. Yeah, that's cool.
I am loving Aquaman right now.
Yeah, so we got Action Comics Aquaman Annual, Batgirl number 40, Batman Beyond 37 is out, although of course we don't typically cover that. Batman Curse of the White Knight issue 4, I'm sure you're excited for that. Batman Superman number 3, next chapter of that from Williamson. Black Adam Year of the Villain issue 1, not one of those one shots. Books of Magic 13 is out. Detective Comics 1014 is out. Dial H for Hero number 8 is out. And then we have The Flash 81 coming out. Freedom Fighters number 10 is out. Justice League Dark 16. Martian Manhunter number 9. We have Red Hood Outlaw 39. We have Swamp Thing Giant number 1, which we've not been covering those, but just mention it's there.
No, but I'm going to look real quick to let people know if they want. New cover by Doug Mankey. This issue includes 2 new stories. The Beat Goes On. God damn it.
Bye.
A 16-page story by Mark Russell with art by Marco Santucci. And kind of 8-page story by Andrew Constant with art by Tom Mandrake.
Interesting.
Man, Mark Russell's become my Tom Taylor cipher. I will read anything that he puts out. So
yeah, we have next up we have the Terrifics number 21. Wonder Woman 81 is out, and that wraps it up. So how many books have I got next week? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's actually not bad. Actually, it's not actually a super big week for me.
2, 3.
Doing math. Counting comics.
6.
Counting
7, 8.
Counting
9,
comics.
10.
Baby.
And that's me counting Freedom Fighter. So if I get through 3 issues of Freedom Fighters, I might pull a Connor.
I don't fancy your chances, to be honest. But so no, so maybe a week, but not super huge.
Yeah, no. And talk about covers. There's going to be some fighting for covers next week.
Is that a fact?
So, for me at least.
Okay.
So, yep.
Wait, hold on. That Action Comics Jamal Campbell cover's interesting, actually.
Yeah.
You made me curious, so I clicked back to the thumbnails so I can see see what the covers look like.
I just know that Flash cover is fantastic. And
the variant?
No, the main cover with all the hands up. I like that.
All right, I see. Yeah. Oh, with the rogues. Okay, I see.
Mm-hmm. White Knight's got a couple of good covers. The action, like you said, Batman Annual.
Oh yeah.
There's Jenny Fission's Wonder Woman as always.
There's a interesting batch, but we'll find out what one's next week, won't we?
Yeah.
So that's basically the show. That's 177 of comics from the multiverse. We're still going in the 170s.
Still going.
Yeah, I mean it's actually a while away. It'll be like April before this happens, but we actually have to start thinking about what we're going to do for 200 because we have to do something for 200.
We're going to have an intervention for Connor.
Oh dear. Yeah, maybe.
No, we shouldn't joke about alcoholism, but with Connor it's fine because he knows he has a problem.
Yeah, his liver's been screwed for years. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not doing any extra damage now. But yes, that has been Comics from the Multiverse 177. Of course, you should let us know what you thought of this week's books, either on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. Also follow that for updates and retweets of things and all sorts. You can, of course, support us by following and liking and subscribing, ding the bell on YouTube if you're watching there to make sure you always get notifications. You can support us financially by going over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your efforts and some voting rights at the higher tiers and things like that. And maybe me and Matt will actually bring that crisis idea to fruition. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I'm gonna have to find room, but that's something I'm about. So
I didn't think I'd be able to talk Matt into extra work, but there it is. I just had to dangle the right thing in front of him.
yep.
But that is something you can go do. Go to Patreon. And then other than that, check out other stuff we do. Obviously, me and Connor did television for the Multiverse a few days ago. Talked about Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and Batwoman. Next week's episode will just be me on my own because Connor's absent for a week on vacation. But that's going every week if you want to hear us talk about the DC TV shows. And check out other stuff. Octoberthon's going on, which is what we call October on our Screams After Midnight podcast. That is a horror movie podcast that me and Tim do. And we've been putting out an episode every single day in October. So check that out if you're into horror movies. And maybe you'll find some stuff there worth checking out. So, but that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, guys, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
And don't help Perpetua. It's bad for your skin.